Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Truthseekers. In the late 1980s, a so called renegade former United States government scientist came out with an incredible story. He claimed that he worked at Area 51 on extraterrestrial spacecraft. Since the late 1980s, his story has been hotly debated, even among true believers. Bob Lazar claimed that he worked at a secret subset base of Area 51 called S4, where he claims he was contracted by the government to work on flying saucer technology. My friends, this story has been hotly debated since it began, and with good reason, because with every reference of Mr. Lazar as being a former government scientist, well, that's a factually inaccurate statement, because the truth is, Bob Lazar was never a scientist. He never got a single college degree. And in fact, his only education was one course at a local community college in electronics technology. This is a problem. Why? Because everybody telling his story always references him as a former government scientist. That, my friends, is not the case. Recently, there have been flyovers of Area 51, which more or less proved that the area where Bob Lazar originally claimed this secret alien research facility was located, that would be Papoose Lake, dry lake bed, and the mountain adjoining the Papoose dry lake bed, there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. There's also the story of Jerry Freeman, a historian who wanted to retrace the path of the original pioneers. So what did they do? He walked across Area 51 secretly, illegally. He walked right up to Papoose dry lake bed. There's pictures of him. And again, there is nothing there. There is absolutely nothing there where Bob Lazar claimed this S4 base to be located. Still, that hasn't stopped true believers from claiming that the government covered this all up. It is only with an incredible amount of mental gymnastics that you are able to justify all the lies, half-truths, fabrications, and inconsistencies in Bob Lazar's story. Now, let's be clear. I grew up with Bob Lazar's story, and here I am playing you his original video, excerpts from the government Bible, where he explained his time at that top secret research facility. I purchased it out of the back of, I believe it was, Popular Science magazine from a classified ad. Learn the truth about UFOs for $29.95. I always wanted to believe Bob's story. But the longer I looked into his story, the more I realized that Bob Lazar was a fraud and a liar. The entire story begins with him claiming to be a scientist who was educated at Caltech and MIT. Those claims fall apart under the least amount of scrutiny. No, friends, his entire education is fabricated, made up, fake. Now, people have claimed that the government wiped his records, and that's because he was telling us the truth about aliens. Stan Friedman checked with the legal counsel at both Caltech and MIT, and it would be highly illegal and a bad idea for them to start erasing people's records. People could sue them. No, for liability reasons alone, they would not do that. Add to that the degree that Bob Lazar claims that he got from Caltech did not exist at the time he claims to have gotten it. Further, none of his papers have been found at any school. There's no mention of him or picture of him in either school's yearbooks. And I know people crazy enough to have gotten those yearbooks and combed through them trying to find some mention, picture, or evidence of Bob Lazar's attendance at those schools. No, even George Knapp, who originally broke the story, will tell you that Bob Lazar's educational claims are completely and totally fake. So I ask you, if a story begins with a huge, bold-faced lie, should you stick around for the rest of this man's claims? Or should you know that his entire story started with a lie? Friends, if his entire story started with a lie, why should we believe anything he said? And add to this the realization that he's not a scientist. He was a low-level electronics technician, as evidenced by his one-time employment by Kirk Meyer at Los Alamos. Kirk Meyer only supplied low-level electronics technicians. There have been various sources over the years that have confirmed to me that Bob worked on radiation health monitoring equipment. Those little badges that people have to wear around high areas of nuclear activity in order to, my friends, monitor people's radiation levels. John Lear even discussed this, saying that Bob had a contract to work on alpha monitors, radiation health monitors. And I got to tell you, friends, go ask any senior staff level physicist. They do not waste their time working on electronics devices. They have far more important things to do. A real physicist would not be working on radiation health monitors. Further, one time Bob Lazar recounted a story about installing a satellite dish at Los Alamos. Again, friends, as senior staff level physicist, and that's what he claimed to be at Los Alamos. There's no evidence of that, but that's what he claimed he was at that lab. A senior staff level physicist would not be wasting their time installing satellite dishes. Do you know who would do that? An electronics technician would do that, not a senior staff level physicist. But here we are, and these are the mental gymnastics that believers have to get over. They have to come up with some justification for all the lies, fabrications, half-truths, and inconsistencies in Bob Lazar's story. Here on the screen, we see his explanation of the so-called flying saucer fuel, element 115. And true believers love to point out the fact that Bob Lazar predicted element 115 years before it was actually synthesized in a lab, later called moscovium. Friends, element 115 was predicted in chemistry books as far back that I've been able to find as 1969. And there was a scientific journal article right before Bob Lazar came out with his story talking about the fact that element 115 may soon be synthesized in labs and what sort of properties it may have. Unfortunately for Bob and the true believers, the actual moscovium, which was created in a lab, that element 115 bore zero resemblance to the magical flying saucer fuel element 115 that Bob Lazar claimed that he worked on. It was nothing like what Bob Lazar described. Again, we've got some mental gymnastics for you to get over. Well, that was just one isotope, and maybe they'll discover the other isotope, and it'll be like Bob said. Bob Lazar claims that they ran every imaginable test possible. Every imaginable test possible, they claim they ran on this material. If that were true, friends, they would have conducted enough tests that Bob Lazar, being such a great, physicist and everything, would know exactly, my friends, what the isotopic ratios were that would require, Bob Lazar would require that information in order to be able to synthesize the element 115 with the magical properties like he described. Yet he has not done that. Funny that. So recently, someone claims that they've discovered that S4 alien base, just like Bob Lazar said it was, right there at Area 51. But there's lots and lots of problems with this. And we're going to get into it, friends. Let's get into it. So I have been following this story since it began. And what can I tell you except that I've always wanted this story to be true. But the mental gymnastics that you have to be willing to do to still believe it's true is truly remarkable. There's so many problems with Bob Lazar's story. You know what a lot of people don't know is that Bob Lazar also ran a whorehouse. And I'm sorry, but reputable scientists don't just wake up one day and say, you know, I think I'm going to start a whorehouse. No, scammy people, conny people, con artist kind of guys wake up one day and decide that they're going to start a whorehouse. Reputable scientists with PhDs or master's degrees in physics and electronics technology don't wake up one day and just say, I'm going to start a whorehouse. And in fact, Bob Lazar is now a convicted pimp. He was convicted for pandering, for running a whorehouse. I get a lot of flack for calling Bob a convicted pimp. But if you run a whorehouse, to me, you're a pimp. This situation is problematic for Bob Lazar and his supporters because no one can explain to me why a senior staff level, high-ranking senior staff level physicist with master's degrees would suddenly decide he was going to run a whorehouse one day. And by the way, you go talk to some of the women that work there. You go talk to the madam who was his partner in that business. And if you're willing to sit down with those people and hear them out, you may be surprised to learn exactly what kind of person Bob Lazar was. The pimp part of the story is interesting in that at various times, the pimp story changes. At one time, Bob Lazar claimed, oh, no, I wasn't running that whorehouse. I was just helping the whores with computers. Whores don't know much about computers. So what I did is I went in there and I helped those whores with their computers. Again, friends, a senior staff level physicist is not sitting around going, you know, I should be really working on my theses or my, scientific papers and research. But instead of doing that, I'm going to go help some whores with some computer work. Those whores need help with their computers. And I'm going to help those whores. It's ridiculous that a senior staff level physicist, first of all, they've got a real scientist has to worry about grants, funding, tenure, getting a professorship. They don't hang out with hookers. It's not good for their, scientific image to hang out with a bunch of whores, or worse yet, to run a whorehouse. I mean, could you imagine being a person that hands out funding and you have a few people to choose from? Well, this scientist is doing very good work on electrothermodynamics, and this other scientist is doing really amazing work on string theory. But there's a problem. One of these two is running a whorehouse on the side. So who's going to get the funding? Not the guy running the whorehouse, friends. Scientists, if you know any of them, they're all very concerned with appearances, with dignity, with their integrity, their reputations, and with getting funding. You don't just wake up one day as a scientist and say, forget my reputation. I'm going to run a whorehouse. Now, back to the whorehouse problems, there's various sources where first Bob Lazar says, I didn't run the whorehouse. I just helped the whores with the computers, okay? That's one side of the story, helping the whores with their whore computers. I didn't really know that whores needed computers, but according to Bob, that's what he did. Later, there is talks that George Knapp gave where George Knapp says he was a full partner in the whorehouse. So Bob Lazar can't even get his whorehouse story straight. But we're supposed to believe him about these fantastical stories about aliens. I'm sorry, it is a big stretch here. It's a big stretch. You can't even believe what he says about the whorehouse that he ran. How are we supposed to believe him about all these fantastical claims like working on an alien spacecraft if he can't even get his whorehouse story straight? Terrible pimp, by the way. Most pimps are like, yeah, I'm pimping. I'm selling them bitches. Bob Lazar, no, I wasn't selling them bitches. I was just helping them bitches with their computers. Them whores needed help with their computers, okay? So I helped the whores. George Knapp has famously said that Bob Lazar really liked hookers. And, hey, we all have our vices. Maybe Bob Lazar, a little nerdy and whatever, so he liked hookers. I happen to have a friend, old friend. I haven't seen or talked to him in some time. He was a big fan of the working ladies because he didn't want to deal with a full-time spouse. He just wanted to get what he wanted to get and get out. It's like that joke. I don't pay the hookers. Was it Charlie Sheen, I think, said, I don't pay the hookers for sex. I pay them to leave after the sex, right? All right. So recently, somebody found something on Google Maps that was labeled S4 High Ridge Facility. And Third Phase Moon ran with the story. Did no research, no checking in, no phone calls, no trying to verify anything. Just ran with the story. Bob Lazar's alien research facility found, just like he said, right where he said it was. No. First of all, it's nowhere near where Bob Lazar, well, it's near, but it's not. It's miles and miles and miles from where Bob Lazar always said it was. And this is another problem, right? Bob Lazar is the one making all the money. Well, him and Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, those three are making all this money. Shouldn't they comment on this story? Shouldn't Bob Lazar say, yeah, that's S4 where I worked on those alien flying saucers? But he won't. Shouldn't Jeremy Corbell comment on this? But he won't. Shouldn't George Knapp comment on this? But he won't. It might upset the money, man. Don't mess with my Bob Lazar money. If Bob Lazar goes on the record that, yes, this is the facility that I worked at, then he would have to admit that he lied for 30 or more years about where he said the base was. He always said the base was right off of Papoose Dry Lake Bed. And in fact, claimed that he witnessed a low altitude hover test or flight of one of these alien spacecraft right on Papoose Lake. And we're going to show you this place and show you why it would be impossible for Bob Lazar's story about witnessing a test of this flying saucer to have happened where this new Area S4 was found on Area 51. So I'm going to put up my fair use banner, try to pray to the AI algorithm gods and the copyright people that, what we're doing is okay. We're using the video that we're sharing as transformative work. First of all, we're educating the public and we're critiquing the video that we're sharing. I will be commentating over it. We will be discussing it in the live chat. This is covered under fair use and is certainly allowable by law. So let's get into it. I have some videos to share. But before I share the videos, maybe it's important that I share some images with you, which show the area that Bob Lazar always said was Area S4, which is right off of Papoose Dry Lake. And this new S4 that was found is not off of where he said it was. It's not where he said it was. It's close, but by close, I mean, it could be 10 or 15 miles away from there. Did some work today to try to determine the actual distance of where Bob Lazar said S4 was to where this new S4 is. And it appears to me that it's 15 or 20 miles from where Bob Lazar said it was. How could he be 15 or 20 miles off? For years, he said it was off Papoose Dry Lake Bed, and it was built into the side of a mountain. There was these hangar bays. So first, I'm going to show you some of that. Just bear with me as I share my screen here, friends. Yeah. So, and here's another thing. This is an illustration of the S4 facility and the hangar bay doors built into the side of the mountain, as Bob Lazar described them, where Bob Lazar described it was, right? And if we look on Google Maps, there's nothing like that where he said it was. Zero. There's nothing but rocks and sand there. And that's a big problem. And here again, we have a drawing. This one, I believe, may be from actual Bob Lazar, or Bob Lazar commissioned this one. And again, it's right in the side of the mountain. And here's the Papoose dry lake bed. So to test the flying saucers, they would open the doors and they would hover out, I suppose, onto the dry lake bed and perform their tests. This new facility that someone claims to have found that is S4, and what's their evidence that it's S4? Well, it was labeled on a Google pin as Area S4 High Ridge Facility. And I'll give them this, it is a high ridge facility. It's up on a high ridge of a mountain. But there's so many problems with that location as opposed to where Bob said it was, and we'll get to that. So this is the purported S4. I have seen presentations from George Knapp. It's shown, this area is shown as where S4 was in the so-called Bob Lazar Area 51 and Flying Saucers documentary, which was really a joke fluff piece. It wasn't a documentary because the documentary filmmaker conveniently left out all the evidence that Bob Lazar is a fraud. Didn't tell you he was a convicted pimp, did he? Didn't talk about how he lied about his education, right? Didn't talk about how he married a second woman while still married to his first wife, and then his wife killed herself. This is the kind of person that Bob Lazar is. Should we really believe a guy that would marry a second woman behind his wife's back as being trustworthy or worthy of our belief? I don't think so, but that's just me. And by the way, there's been a great deal of speculation about Bob Lazar's first wife killing herself. I believe that she did that because she was distraught and despondent over Bob Lazar cheating on her and going off to another state to marry another woman before they had even gotten a divorce. Right after Bob Lazar's first wife killed herself, he and his new wife moved into the same house. Take from that what you will. All right, so again, here we have Papoose dry lake bed and where the hangar is supposed to be. And we're going to see tonight that this location that this person found bears zero resemblance to what Bob Lazar, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and others have told us about this so-called secret alien base for years. It bears no resemblance to what we see in the illustrations that Bob Lazar commissioned, in drawings people made from Bob Lazar's description. Bob Lazar, said this is where S4 was, right off of Papoose dry lake bed, and those hangar bay doors were built right in the side of the mountain on the side of Papoose dry lake bed. He said that. No, friends, what we're going to see tonight is a joke. And, we're going to get into a little more of I suppose, a deeper take on why this keeps happening. The hunger for this story to be true, is so strong that people do whatever mental gymnastics they have to explain away all the lies, the inconsistencies, and the problems with Bob Lazar's story. I've always said this. If I love the story, if I could pick one story from UFO mythology to be true, it would be Bob Lazar's story. I grew up with this story. I ordered the tape when I was a kid. I had to get my dad to help me. I didn't know how to send away to a magazine, right? I didn't know how to send away to get the Bob Lazar, proof about aliens tape, but I did. I bought the S4 model at the model shop. I actually worked at a toy and hobby shop when I was a kid, putting bikes together. Bikes, they come in boxes. Nobody wants to put them together. So I would put them together, and the guy who owned the store would give me the $5 or whatever people were paying. I can't remember. I think it was $5. $5 a bike. I got fast at that. Anyway, I worked at a toy and hobby shop. I got a few of those models. I wish I still had them. I can't find them anywhere. I think they were lost in a move or something like that. But I bought the models of Bob Lazar's flying saucer when I was a child. And by the way, that's another real big problem. Bob Lazar claimed that he worked on an alien spacecraft that was called the sport model. But there's a big problem with that, and that is shortly before Bob Lazar came out with his story, he and Gene Huff made a deal with John Lear to get all of John Lear's UFO material, all his tapes, all his videos, all of his materials about UFOs and aliens. And so shortly before Bob Lazar comes out with his story, him and Gene Huff sit around and look at all the Bob Lazar pictures and films and material, right? And interestingly, Bob Lazar's sport model is nearly identical to Billy Meyer's beam ship. Now, everybody knows that Billy Meyer glued together, trash can lids and trash from his garage, I guess, I don't know, and made these fake flying saucer models and hung them by strings. It's been proven time and time again that Billy Meyer's so-called beam ships and UFO photos were all frauds. They used miniature trees, miniature cars, miniature models of flying saucers that weren't real, hung by strings. But somehow, Bob Lazar's real sport model flying saucer that he worked on at Area 51, here we see the comparison, right? On the left is Bob Lazar's sport model. On the right is Billy Meyer's beam ship from 1975. Bob Lazar and Gene Huff got all the pictures of this beam ship just less than a year before Bob Lazar came out with his fantastical story about working on this one. So what we have here is a case of one fraud, faker, one fraud faker ripping off another fraud faker, a proven fraud faker. He wasn't even original enough to come up with his own design for what the flying saucer he claims he worked on looked like. And here again, here is that famous model, the sport model, the tester's model that I bought as a child. By the way, Bob Lazar owes me like at least $50 because I paid $30 for that VHS tape, and I think it was $10 a piece for those. I bought two of them. This Area S4 flying saucer model. And I mean, look at the similarity between Bob Lazar's sport model and Billy Meyer's beam ship. It's the same thing, friends. It's the same thing. Slightly different. And by the way, I'm referencing here the website, boblazardebunked.com, which is run by alien scientists. He and I share a fascination with this case, and some call it an obsession. It's just interesting that, and let's rip off a Damski, right? We have these three gravity generators down here, just like in Bob Lazar's model. What Bob Lazar offered was nothing new. It was an amalgam of already out there stories about UFOs and flying saucers. He just incorporated new things. And others, have mentioned, just tacking on Area 51 and saying you worked on one somehow made the story new. So let's get to the video. We're going to get to the video of S4 was finally discovered. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I can't believe that people are running with this. It makes me sad. It makes me real sad. But first we're going to do something. I'm going to share my screen again and show you those pictures once again of so here once again is where it's supposed to be. Right off of Papoose Dry Lake Bed. And it's supposed to be built into the side of a mountain right here, right off of Papoose Lake. That's where it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to look like, according to Bob Lazar. It doesn't look anything like that. Now, he did say that the hangar bay doors were camouflaged, so you couldn't see them. But, if you could see a tiny guard shack in the aerial photos, in the Google Earth photos of Area 51, I would think that you'd be able to see some hangar bay doors, but you can't. So there's a big problem with this so-called S4 being discovered, and that is it's not where Bob Lazar, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and every other Bob Lazar supporter has ever said it was. It's always been right here, even though you can look on satellite maps, Russian satellite maps from the Cold War era. There's even Russian satellite images from right after Bob Lazar came out with his story that show absolutely nothing here where he said the S4 facility was. Bob Lazar also famously said that he was bussed in from Area 51 proper to S4 to the S4 facility. And we're going to see how, first of all, it's impossible to drive a bus from Area 51 proper to this location. It's impossible. There's no roads. You're not getting a multi-ton bus through a sandy desert for 20 miles with no roads or almost no roads or terrible dirt roads. You're not getting a non-four-wheel drive vehicle to this location. And I have confirmed that with people that worked at the base, the actual Area 51 base. All right, so this is where it's supposed to be. Now we're going to show you where these geniuses who think they discovered the Area 50 S4 alien base. I'm going to share my screen again, I'm citing fair use, but this is Google Maps. So there we have it. According to some people, that's the S4 alien research facility, High Ridge Research Facility, right there. But again, there's a problem. This is nowhere near where Bob Lazar, well, it's near, this was labeled when somebody found it as S4 Research Facility, High Ridge Research Facility. And that would make sense, I guess, because it's on a high ridge. This is a big high mountain. Look at that drop off where this road ends. You would drop down, it looks like hundreds and hundreds of feet to another plateau in the mountain. But here's the problem. This is where this new S4, where people are claiming it's Bob Lazar's S4, was found. And what is their evidence? Well, it was labeled S4, but there's a big problem with that, in that alien scientists and others have shown that you can label things at a missing place, and you can label things. Now, I have since verified that sometimes you need to have a verified business with Google, and then as a business owner, you can claim your business has all these different locations and add locations. That could have been how that pin or text description of this area was added. After alien scientists sort of debunked this, he said that people should report it as not a real location, and the text description suddenly disappeared. It's no longer visible. And again, we're going to see, there's no hangar bay doors here on the side of the mountain. There's no place that you could test a flying saucer. There's no runway. There's no dry lake bed around here. This is a very, very small area, a couple of 100 feet in diameter. Folks, Bob Lazar claimed that there was 9 alien spacecraft in the side of the hangar, that there was an oppressive atmosphere of guards everywhere. The men in black, they all wore black, right? And that there was many other people working at this facility. Friends, if there's 9 alien spacecraft in the side of this hangar, and there's all of these guards and all this other stuff, you would need some support infrastructure, unless it's all hidden inside this mountain like people claim. But again, no hangar bay doors on the side of this mountain. And it looks like a slow, rise in altitude from here to there. That would be a slow rise in altitude. So no, I just don't see it. And if we zoom out, I'm going to show you where Bob Lazar said Area S4 was. And look how far we have to zoom out, because this is Papoose Lake, where Bob Lazar said S4 was. It's always been said to be right here where my mouse is circling. And that is not what we find here in this so-called discovery of S4. And by the way, it's hard. It's easy to miss this because it's such a small area. It is literally a few hundred feet in square footage here. This is a few hundred feet, the whole thing. So, and I mean the entire thing here is a few hundred square feet, which means that these, if they're buildings, would have to be tiny, the size of like a garden shed or something. Now, alien scientist believes that these are alien guzzlers, or excuse me, alien guzzlers. No, water guzzlers, which are put out all over the Nevada desert, everywhere, by the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. All right, we're gonna. So we'll stop here. I got to tell you, it's not looking good for this being a real alien research facility, because that would mean that people are doing alien research in garden shed sized laboratories, which would probably not be very productive. But that's just my opinion and my speculation. And if other people are going to put out garbage information and profit from it 10 times more than I will profit from telling you the truth, then I'm allowed to speculate too. So I'm going to stop my screen here. I have to, let me close a few things down because things get a little nutty. There is additional information about where Bob Lazar actually said that S4 is on Jeremy's website, boblazardebunked.com. And I'm going to show you some of that. And again, this is Jerry Freeman, who walked through the entire area of Papoose Lake. That right behind him is the area of Papoose Lake in this picture. Supposed to be an alien base, according, a base studying alien spacecraft right behind Jerry Freeman in this photo. The other issue is that entire area, including the area where this new S4 is being shown, is a radiation nightmare. There was early atomic testing right in the area of Papoose Lake. In fact, I was told by the BLM at one point, Atomic Energy Commission, they monitor atomic energy radiation levels all throughout this area. The area is so irradiated, some people believe that Jerry Freeman died of cancer after spending just a few days in that area. Folks, you can't put a research facility where a whole bunch of people work in an area that is too irradiated to safely be at for any length of time. Bob Lazar claims that he spent, 6 days, 7 days? It depends on when you ask him, right? In total. He would get called out there every once in a while and do 1 day's work. That's a problem. So again, here we see the area where S4 is supposed to be. And if you really stretch, there's, some kind of road, but it's really dirt. You can't get a bus through all this, friends. You cannot get a bus all through this. It's impossible. Now, that's hard to prove, but again, this is my opinion, my speculation. And again, here is S4 completely debunked using the best and legitimate sources. So why are we here? We're here then because somebody is clickbaiting garbage information. And, I'm having a real trouble because one of my New Year's resolutions was to be kinder and gentler and not so confrontational. Yeah, I'm going to try to be kinder and gentler and not so confrontational. But I've tried to take some time to process what has happened with somebody profiting from this completely and totally fake S4's been found story. I'm trying to divorce myself from being upset about somebody falsely claiming these things and profiting from it. And the road is, we have third phase of moon here. No, the road is not over 100 feet wide. Where are you getting your measurements from? And by the way, third phase of moon, you should have been doing this work. You should have done all of what I'm doing tonight or what Jeremy did before you profited from a fake story. But that's not what you do, is it? Now, I said I wasn't going to get upset. I'm going to try to be kinder and gentler. So, cousins, brothers, I'm going to be as kind to you as possible. and just say that you're both lazy as shit. You are both too lazy to do real work. So what you guys do is you take whatever garbage information you can find, you clickbait the title, and then you don't do any work or research into the story. And then you just wash your hands of it and say, hey, we just put the information out there. We're bringing it to the public so they can decide if it's true or not. And I got to tell you, to me, there's no value in that. What you offer the world has no value, because we can go through your history, right, and show literally hundreds of videos of so-called flying saucers or UFOs that you guys have put out that are fake. And that's not an exaggeration, is it? Would you say there's 100 or more, at least 100 videos of UFOs or so-called flying saucers you put out that were later proven to be fake? I would think so. But, I'm going to try to be polite and kind to you. That's part of my New Year's resolution. So maybe I shouldn't have said you're lazy as shit. I apologize. What I'm going to say is that, in my opinion, there's no value to just putting information out there and letting other people do the work. You're the one profiting. You're the one getting the clicks and views and the monetized ad revenue. Shouldn't you do the work before you put this garbage out there? I think so. And hey, Third Phase of Moon, did you mention in your report that Bob Lazar is a convicted pimp? Did you mention in your report that Bob Lazar completely lied and made up his entire education? Did you mention in your report that Bob Lazar lied about the FBI raid into his business? Because we covered that too. Remember, Jeremy Corbell and him said that they were looking for they were looking for element 115. I talked to the police in that case. I talked to the local sheriff who was in on the raid. I talked to several of the FBI agents who were there in the briefings and in Bob Lazar's raid. That had nothing to do with Bob Lazar's fake flying saucer stories. That was about Bob Lazar selling dangerous chemicals, and someone allegedly, case is still open, someone allegedly ordered dangerous chemicals from Bob Lazar and killed his wife with those dangerous chemicals. Did you mention that in your report? You see, there's the problem with you guys is that Third Phase of Moon wants all the benefit without any of the detriment. Bob Lazar is popular. Let's hype up a Bob Lazar story. S4 has been found. And let's just lie by omission and not tell our audience all of the detrimental, bad, dark side of the Bob Lazar story. And I have a problem with that. I think it is lazy. Why don't you give your audience both sides of the story? That would be the fair thing to do. After all, you're the one making the money. Well, would you look at this? Kind and generous $5 super chat donation from Bricktop, who says, I'm not saying it's real, but how the fuck, or excuse me, how the F did he know about the hand scanners and whatnot? Well, those hand scanners were used in Close Encounters movie beforehand. And there's no verifiable proof or evidence that, this is one of those things that bother me, Oh, get you on the show? Sure. Yeah, I'll get you on the show. Look, how do I email you? I don't know. I could send a link to Rich, and he can send it to you if he's still up. But I don't know if I follow you on Twitter or on. I don't know that I follow you on Twitter or anywhere else. Let's hold on. I would love that. Yeah, let's do that. We can have a conversation instead of an argument. I'll try to be polite. I will. I don't know if they know that I usually yell and scream about this stuff, right? Cousins, brothers, I do. I get upset. I'm a very passionate person when it comes to this stuff. Let me see here. I'm going to send it to Rich. Maybe he could get it to you. I'll ask him to. Or I could just put it in the live chat, but I'm a little hesitant to do that. Let me see here. Yeah, here. Rich is asking me for the link. Here's the link. And I was going to share your video. Gotcha. S4. This is another thing. S4 discovered on Google Earth, just like Bob said. It's not just like Bob said. It's nothing like Bob said. But we'll share that while we wait. See, maybe you are going to show up. And I'm sorry that you had a super chat to get my attention. I might have seen that had you not. But I thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. That's the first time I've been bitching about somebody that they sent me some money. So, yeah, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Sixth Sense is reminding people that there is a new platform. We're now on Odyssey with each and every video that we do. All right. Yeah, third phase again saying get me on the show. I sent the link to Rich, who can send it to you. I'm sorry I'm not up on how to contact you. I would be happy to have you here and have a conversation instead of just a one-sided me bitching. That's not going to help anything. All right. Now, let me see. We're going to share screen. Again, I'm going to cite fair use. So we're going to preview their third phase's video, S4 discovered. Well, maybe we'll get through this before he gets here. That's actually
Welcome
good
back
timing.
to Third Phase Moon. Blake Cousins here. We've got a special for you tonight, so buckle up, everybody. Is S4 real? Does it exist like Bob Lazar stated in the past? Well, we have an exclusive from Kyle from UFO Proof, who discovered S4, and it does truly exist. According to Google Maps, Kyle from UFO Proof shared this information with us earlier, and we're going to share it with the world right now. Take a look at this special report by Kyle from UFO Proof and his discovery of S4.
Again, I just have a problem with it. He discovered S4. There's no proof that's S4 except for a text description on a Google map page. And to be clear, there are hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of mislabeled locations on Google Maps. Google it and you will find out how many false locations are there. There's thousands of falsely pinned locations on Google Maps that aren't what the pin says it is.
We are at Area 51. This is the Area 51 base. This is off the Groom Lake bed. There you can see the base right there. And if you follow it around, that is the Papoose mountain range right there. And there is the Papoose lake bed. You can see it labeled the Papoose Lake. That's the dry lake bed. So everyone was always looking on this side of it, right over here. This is where everyone looks. One guy made a video showing some lines on the mountain that he believed were the doors, even though it was just him putting some lines on there.
Yeah, that turned out to be a completely and totally fake story as well. Some time ago, somebody came out and said, look, there's lines. That's got to be the hangar bay doors. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't the doors or anything. So I was like, that's where everyone always looks for, because that's the way they assume it's going to be. But it's actually not. If you look at one of the drawings, it's actually by some rocky mountains of some kind of granite or something like that. That's where the hangar doors were built. So I looked on the opposite side towards these rocky mountains that are over here, and wrote up here, I found it. And look at this. Google actually has it labeled S4 Research Facility. S4 High Ridge Research Facility. That is the government research facility. That is the mountain in the backdrop. Just like the artist
so
rendering.
ridiculous.
This is the S4 base where Bob Lazar worked at. And it is.
See, this is a problem that I have. This person is making statements of fact. This is the base where Bob Lazar worked on alien spacecraft. Based on what evidence is that the base that Bob Lazar worked on alien spacecraft? First of all, it's many miles from where Bob Lazar said the base was for all these years. For 30 years, Bob Lazar has been, pointing everybody in the wrong direction, 10 or 20 miles from where the base really is. These statements of fact are problematic. This is the S4 base.
It's labeled right there by Google.
Yeah, and again, if you had a top secret alien research facility, would you let Google Maps point out to the world where it is? Or maybe, just maybe, as a goof, somebody labeled that area S4 High Ridge Research Facility. And I reached out to a friend of mine at Google that works there, and he does not work at Google Maps, but he made a call or something and called me back and said, yeah, it's more than possible that somebody could falsely label any location with the add location feature, especially if they have a business. If you have a business, you can claim that this area is related to your business or one of your business locations. So it's very easy that somebody could have, added this and said, hey, this is the S4 research facility, with no accountability or anything like that. Prophetic says Blake was on Jeremy Rye's butt for for a fact that S4 was not there, but he talks like it is a fact that S4 was there. Yeah, this is the problem. You know, and I just have a real problem with, like, come on, if there was a real research facility on Area 51 where they were working on alien spacecraft, would they just let anyone? Victor Colliero, and Victor Colliero is very established and well-respected researcher. He says anyone can add a label. Brought up that screen myself on Google Maps. Yeah, and I tried myself, Victor, and it takes, I do know that it takes some time. It takes some time for, if you do add a pin or a label, for it to show up. It could take weeks, I'm told by my friend at Google. Yeah, and Victor Colliero, again, clarifying you can request a label addition. That's the problem that I have. If anybody can call this thing anything,
I don't know,
you know,
how this has been passed up for so long, but I mean,
maybe it's been passed up for so long because somebody recently added the tag. And by the way, I did ask my friend at Google if he could find out by any means necessary when the tag was added and what person added it. That would shed an incredible amount of light on this, because, and I'm not accusing anybody, but some people have a financial motive in this world of UFOs. And I could see somebody falsely labeling that just to sell a story. I mean, we've seen worse things. We've seen people interview dead people to sell a fake story about aliens.
On a hunch, I decided to go on the opposite side and look. And sure enough, just like Bob Lazar said. So the S4 base does exist right next to the mountain, just like he said. I think one of the problems was...
No, again, this is a false statement of fact. It's not right next to the mountain, just like he said. It's next to the wrong mountain. This is not the right mountain. He said it was right off of Papoose dry lake bed. And in fact, Bob Lazar claimed that he witnessed a low altitude hovering test flight of one of these alien spacecraft, the sport model, in fact, right on Papoose lake bed. And we're going to see in a moment why that's a problem, because if somebody's not telling the truth here, either these people are wrong that this is the S4 research facility of Bob Lazar, or Bob Lazar was not telling the truth about the alien test flight of the flying saucer right off of Papoose lake bed. Because how are you getting, well, I guess it can fly there, but we're going to show you something else in a moment that makes this very problematic.
Was thinking that the base was on the mountains that were right next to the dry lake bed, like right outside of it was the dry lake because of some of his descriptions. But that is in fact wrong. It wasn't directly on it. See, that's the problem. That's why everyone thinks it was right on the lake bed. It wasn't. The lake bed is obviously like a mile or two away from it, but it was deep up here.
It's much more than a mile away from this location.
Here in the mountains. I mean, and it's perfect to, like, the artist rendering, like he did a good job at describing what it looked like, because this is exactly the drawing that he had made for it.
No, it's not. We've shown the drawings that Bob Lazar described. We've shown a drawing that Bob Lazar had commissioned. We've shown drawings that people made of Bob Lazar's descriptions from transcripts. This is nothing like Bob Lazar described. Nothing.
This is just like it.
Just like it. Again, this is fast and loose with the facts to sell a story. This is not facts. This is not evidence. This is garbage information. It's like, let's just make this thing fit. It's not where Bob said it was. It looks nothing like Bob described, but we're going to say it's exactly as Bob described it. No, it's not.
So it looks like we have some kind of platforms there.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know
There's
where
Richie
the
from
base
Goof
doors
On
are.
is
Probably
here.
right back here into this
Welcome, Richie.
Mountain right there.
Oh, man.
Obviously, he says it's sand textured, so you're
Third phase will be right over.
All right. Wow, that's amazing.
But obviously, the government research facility isn't just these two concrete slabs. There's something there.
Yeah, and again, this may be nothing more than what Jeremy Rise, alien scientist, believes it to be water guzzlers. And we have some information to share with you that may seem to indicate that it is perhaps water guzzlers.
I don't know where the base doors are. Maybe right there on the side of the hill or something.
Well, where are the doors? There's no doors.
Maybe on the opposite side. But he said that, you could go around to one side and around to the other. One side had a regular entrance and the other side had some hangar doors. So maybe the hangar doors might be on the opposite side of these. And what these concrete slabs are, I don't know. Or maybe is it just showing that the research facility is actual an underground laboratory?
Again, another stretch. You've got to do a lot of mental gymnastics to make these pieces
it's
fit.
Just like the flat roof. But there is no doubt that this is the S4.
Oh, sorry about that. Rich, he said there is no doubt that this is the S4 research facility. Do you believe that that's a factual statement? There is no doubt that this is the S4 research facility.
Well, nobody would know that.
Oh, we have Third Phase of Moon is here. Welcome.
Ask them, yeah, because they know. Well, I know all about it too, but they had firsthand knowledge of all this stuff.
Yeah, let's get into it. Hey, Steve, how you doing tonight?
Good to talk to you. Listen. There's a reason why I am on the side of Jeremy Rise about the water guzzlers, because let me just give you some background into the
hold
water
on
guzzlers.
A sec. Jeremy from Alien Scientists, we just got off the phone with him yesterday, and he's second judging the water guzzler theory. But
yeah, and so am I, actually.
Okay,
so
good. When people say these are water guzzlers and stating that's a fact.
No, I'm not stating it as a fact. I'm stating it as a very distinct
hold on a
possibility.
sec. Let me just, you were talking a lot of action on Third Phase Moon. Can you give me about 3 minutes to respond to some of the statements that you've been stating?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Steve, there's a lot of questions behind this S4 revelation that has come forward in the public as of the past, 3 days or so. And obviously with big claims comes great proof to back it up. And I agree with everybody wanting to find out exactly what's going on here. But there's a few facts that I want to point out. And one of the facts is that when Kyle from UFO Proof made us aware at Third Phase Moon that he thinks that he discovered S4 while searching Google Maps, we looked at that on our end, and we went to Google Maps on our end to go check out whether this was labeled S4 Research High Ridge Facility, what have you. And the fact is, it was there. And this label...
Oh, I'll give you that. It's labeled. Wait, sure.
Give me a few more minutes. When we looked at that label, that was an actual government pin. And when you look at the Capitol building in the Washington... You go to the Capitol building, and it has the exact same Washington pin that was labeled by Google. Somebody had access to put a pin in there on Google Earth and labeled it S4 Research Facility. The fact that somebody with high access within Google Earth was able to put that pin with a government pin, not a so-called personal pin by anybody. You were insinuating just a few moments ago that it's easy to pin anything and you want, but this was a government pin. Can you tell me, Steve, does it not look suspicious that it was labeled by a government pin, and within 24 hours after we put it up on Third Phase of Moon, that government pin has been removed? Is that suspicious?
I believe that didn't Jeremy Rise tell people they should report it as not a real location? Because if they
who cares what Jeremy Rise at Alien Scientists says?
I'm sorry, but he's a very intelligent man, and let me just give you a very quick background into the water guzzlers.
The fact is, that was a government pin, and just because he said to go flag it, whether that's a proper thing to do or not, in my opinion, we're missing the whole big picture, Steve. It was a government label.
Because I would want that pin to stay so that we could reference it and get an answer from the government. We could
absolutely, but in my opinion, it proves a cover-up, and that's where we got to keep an eye on.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But let me just tell you about the water guzzlers.
What do you mean? Hold on a sec. What's a little bit of a stretch? Hold on. Explain yourself. That's
a cover-up. It's a cover-up because it might have been pinned incorrectly.
Please explain.
Are you going to tell me that there's nobody in the government that's interested in UFOs or Bob Lazar that may have done this at his goof? That's a possibility.
You're speculating. The fact is, it was there and then it's gone.
Okay, I'll give you that. But let's talk about the guzzlers for a moment, because I think that we're missing some of the context. Jeremy, I don't
Jeremy
say,
now believes that he might have a second thought process that these are guzzlers. Most guzzlers, as we did an update on Third Phase of Moon last night, showed what a typical guzzler looks like. They're about four. Go to my channel and you could see what
no,
a guzzler looks
I've
like.
seen them, but do you know that
No, you
there are
have not.
various
They're
sizes?
usually
I've seen
4
your
by
report.
8.
And there's some that are 100-foot by 100-foot as well,
So
all within Nevada.
And when he said, what was funny is you mentioned that this location is so radioactive. Why would they have a facility there? Because you're being an exact clone of what Jeremy said. But after I talked with Jeremy, the whole fact is, why would you catch water to feed radioactive water to sheep? And
Yeah,
would
I don't
you?
know. I don't
Why
know
would
about
you
that,
do
but I do
that?
know that there are water guzzlers
20,000
all over that
tw-
area. Did you know that?
Why would you want to have that for sheep too? If it's so radioactive, if that's a water catchment system,
Yeah,
what
that's
kind
a
of
good point.
sick government
I'll
do
give
we
you that
have
point.
giving them radioactive water?
The context of the water guzzler, people are missing this because sometimes I think he's a little bit on the spectrum, and he doesn't articulate things well. The water guzzlers came from the fact that really Jeremy and Dan Bankert, the story of Charles Hall and the Nellis Air Force Base and the tall white aliens. Somebody once claimed, there we found Charles Hall's tall white alien base, and that turned out to be.
We're not claiming that. You're calling us like
no. But
clickbait.
what I'm trying to tell you is that turned out to be water guzzlers. Somebody once claimed that they found Charles Hall's alien research facility, and it turned out to be 100% verified by the BLM to be water guzzlers. That may be why Jeremy and me, because I was kind of in on that debunk too, went to this.
It wasn't a
debunk.
Guzzlers. It was a theory, but you thought it was debunked. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you're going to tell me you don't clickbait titles? Like AI told us this about the Dark Knight satellite, but all you did was feed a script into
We're talking about Google. We're talking about what you
Come on, Blake. You've been living off of clickbait titles for 5 years.
All kinds of fun stuff.
You've been
but
5 years. You've been living off of clickbait titles. You're going to tell me with a straight face you don't clickbait titles with factually inaccurate statements?
I recommend anybody in this YouTube field, if you have to put a spin on it, because YouTube recommends come up with a catchy title. YouTube recommends that. And if people don't understand,
I mean, that's fair. I might be guilty of that
YouTube
myself.
recommends to get views, then maybe you should have a different thought process. Then everybody, even people that don't want to put clickbait titles with millions of views, are forced to, because YouTube algorithm makes you do it. And if I could say, hey, this is episode 1, 2, and 3, and no clickbait titles, whatever. Good luck with that. But the point is,
I guess I'll give you that. I'll give you that point.
Our titles are proper. There's question marks. There's all kinds of properness in our titles. And if you think it's clickbait, YouTube recommends it. And you might want to try it out, bro. You might need to work your channel a little bit. And you should.
Can you tell me, you were given some kind of estimates of how big these slabs are.
Mm-hmm.
How are you arriving at that?
Well, we did some good. If you go back to our episode that we just put up, we went onto Google Earth, showed that it was 100 feet by 100 feet for each square, whatever you call it. And then we measured the road. And at one point, this road is over 113 feet wide. It traverses for 4 miles into top secret territory. Why the heck would they traverse through a mountainside for 4 miles with 100-foot wide road to build water guzzlers for sheep with radioactive water? Does this make any sense?
No, the radioactive part doesn't make any sense to me. But you're telling me that you believe a bus could get through that road to get to this location?
100%. I could guarantee a bus could get through it. 3 rigs. You could have 3 semi-trucks side by side get through that road.
And you're saying this road is 100 feet
I did the measurements,
in length.
Steve. I did the measurements.
All right. Well, can you explain to me why it's nowhere near where Bob Lazar said it was?
That's something you're going to have to ask Bob Lazar, because we're working on it. We want Bob Lazar to put X marks the spot, Here, put Google Earth in front of Bob and tell him to give us the exact X marks the spot, because he has not done that. So everything about Bob Lazar could go out the window for
Well, he
what
has
I'm
said in
concerned
interviews
about.
that it was
The
right
fact
off of
is that this was
Papoose Lake,
labeled as a
right?
government pin tag, and then after we put it up on Third Phase of the Moon, it has been removed. Those are facts, and that is the story. Everybody's blowing it about thinking about what Bob Lazar said this and that. That's ridiculous. The point is, it was a
If it's
government
nowhere
labeled
near where
pin,
he
bro.
said, but it's nowhere near where he said it was.
Okay,
It's
what are you
near. I'll
talking
give you
about?
that. It's
Kyle has been
miles.
following Bob Lazar for over a decade
I've
as
been
well.
following it since
He found it
1989.
because of what
Blake.
he went off on Bob Lazar, what he was saying. And it seems like you're missing the point a little bit, Steve.
You
was
keep
there,
on harping
and
on this.
now
I
it's
give you
gone.
that it was there and now it's gone. Maybe it was
There you
not
go.
an accurate location, so they took it down. That's speculation too, but it's just as
What
plausible.
speculation? Bob Lazar's statements is speculation, 100%.
Couldn't
And
it
when
have
you
been?
think you know what Bob Lazar says, that's speculation. That's a joke. That's a joke, bro. If you think
He has
I know
described
what
the
Bob
S4
Lazar
base
said,
as being
come on.
right off of Papoose Lake. Right off of Papoose Lake. It's got to be 10 or 20 miles to Papoose Lake from this location. Why
What
would
if
he
he
say
wanted
right
to
off of Papoose Lake?
We're speculating here. We're speculating. He says this. He says that. People don't believe Bob Lazar. People believe in Bob Lazar. Would you possibly consider that Bob Lazar was maybe spreading misinformation on the exact location of S4 because he didn't want to violate top secret security and not go to jail?
Well, isn't
Could
he
you
violating
imagine
top
maybe
secret
that would be
security? Telling us about
possible?
the aliens and the flying saucers. And one of the problems that I have
He's
with everybody that
but
pumps
you're
a Bob
talking
Lazar
about
story
exact
is
location.
he's a
If he
convicted
reveals an
pimp.
exact
He's a
location,
convicted
he could be in
pimp that
trouble.
wasn't
He
ever a
could
scientist.
speculate
Why are
about
we
alien
arguing?
beings and
Why are we
UFOs all he
arguing over a
wants.
guy that was a convicted pimp? He was never a scientist.
I'm not
He was
backing up
never
Bob
a
Lazar.
scientist.
Bob Lazar is not the point here. Let's back it up. Bob Lazar is not the point.
It's his story.
Steve?
It's his
It doesn't
revelation
matter.
of the S4
Somebody
base.
labeled it S4 and it's gone, and is a
Okay.
government pin.
Let me
And
ask
those
you a question.
roads
Did
are
you
massive.
bother- Did you
And
bother
I
to
don't believe
call
they're
the
water
BLM?
guzzlers.
Did anybody call the BLM to get a comment
The
of whether
BLM,
there are water guzzlers or not?
Yeah, Jeremy said he was going to work on it, and
I worked
Jeremy
on that
admitted
today.
that the
And
BLM
it's
might
very,
not be able to give
it's
them
very
the factual
difficult.
information.
I was on the phone. I was on the phone for several hours today trying to get to somebody, giving them the coordinates of this location to
Any
tell
luck?
me, is this water guzzlers or not?
Please
And
let
that's
me
very
know.
difficult. Well,
They're not
I'll
going to let
let
you know.
if we ever get an answer from them, and that's very difficult to get an
Very
answer.
good.
From
Thank you, Steve. Because that
So-
is good work. But the
But
point
if they
is,
say they're
can't-
guzzlers, is that it? It's over?
um,
Well, here we
I
go
don't
to
think
the
they're gonna
conspiracy
say that's
land.
what
Like,
it
oh,
is.
that could be a cover up. They're just saying it's water guzzlers.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
So we got to watch out our language, Stephen, about calling people that it's a scam and this is not what it is because what Bob Lazar says.
It doesn't
No,
match anything.
you got to watch
Bob
the
Lazar
language
said.
here.
It doesn't match anything Bob Lazar said.
Well, okay, I could give you on your point of view. That's what you say, but Kyle has been following Bob Lazar for a long time, and he went and found this location according to Kyle because of Lazar's description. So this is a speculative hypothetical of testimony from Bob Lazar. You can't do that.
No. Kyle said he went the opposite of what Lazar said. And that's how he found. He goes, what if they're on the other side? And that's what he said. He goes, I'll go check the other side.
Pretty far from where
Then
it
he
was
found
supposed to be. It's supposed to be right here.
So maybe it's an entrance. Maybe they go park there and they go underground to the facility instead of driving right up to it on the lake.
It's interesting to note as well as when we went back in time onto Google Maps, they blurred certain situations out during the construction of whenever this happened. You can't go back in time and see when this was built because Google Earth purposely blurred that time code out for
I'm
those
surprised
years.
that they let us see any of these satellite images. Honestly.
That's exactly
I'm
right.
surprised
And
they
it's
don't blur
surprising that
the
it had a
entire
government
area.
tag. That's what's crazy about this whole thing, that it had a government tag and now it's gone. And a government tag takes special access from a government facility, in my opinion, because if you look at the Capitol, they had the exact same tag there over that research facility over there at S4 supposedly. I'm not saying this is S4 and whatever. I'm just saying Kyle brought forth interesting information that was, in my opinion, kind of mind-boggling, and we put it up on Third Phase of Moon as we usually do, and everybody wants to attack us for it. And people are attacking us.
Well, I mean, in their defense of people attacking you, you guys have pumped hundreds of fake videos into the community, provable fake videos, hundreds over the past 5 years. Would you think that was a fair assessment?
But
at least 100.
Agree with you.
Pumped at least 100.
We've been around. We've
pumped at least 100 fake videos, fake UFO videos, CGI'd fake videos that have been blown apart as completely and totally fake over the past 5 years. So
even I would disagree with that.
You don't think there's at least 100 over the past 5 years?
I don't think Third Phase of Moon, not fake at all. They're trying their best to eliminate.
No, and I get that, and that's why I kind of soften my tone towards Third Phase, because you say they're trying to do better, and I get that, and I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand it, but I have a problem with just putting out stuff with no evidence, no research, and saying, well, we wash our hands.
We're not just putting out stuff, bro, and we did a lot of research.
You're working with convicted criminals, though, aren't you? You're working with convicted criminals to sell your documentary, right? Is that a problem for you?
Who?
Isn't Billy Carson in your new documentary? You're going to sell people UFO truth from a convicted fraud felon?
Billy Carson has his own past, and I'm not going to make any statements about his own past.
So you put out like 100 fake UFO videos. You're working with convicted criminals to sell a documentary. You're going to have Greer in your new documentary. Are you going to ask him about the $500,000 that he raised to build a free energy device and then just kept the money and didn't produce anything? Are you going to ask him about lying about briefing Donald Trump and Vice President Pence? Because we talked to their media offices. They never heard of him. In his latest documentary, he claimed he briefed both of them. This is the problem. You guys want all the benefit. Like, let's have Billy Carson in our documentary. But you don't want you're taking the good without the bad. And then you get upset that people attack you. That's part of the problem. So you don't think
Billy Carson has done any research in the field?
Who cares?
I know he's done research, but he's a convicted fraud felon.
You like Moulton Howell. You like Richard Dolan. Who do you like in this field, Steve?
Very few people left. I have very few people left that I will actually trust that are providing accurate and real
information. Can you give me a name that's in the top?
I like Jeremy Rise, the Alien Scientist. We've been friends and worked on stories together. I like John Greenwald.
Well, that's great. We like Jeremy too as well. But skeptics, you're just throwing out names there and saying that everybody's.
Do you think that people should have the right to know that they're buying a UFO truth documentary from a convicted fraud felon whose business partner and chief of operations is also a convicted fraud felon?
Didn't he do his time? People do their time and let it go.
Do you know he's right now selling fake medical devices on his website? Do you know he's right now running illegal
That would be
gambling?
Illegal if they're doing that.
He's running illegal gambling scams in the state of Florida right now. You're putting him in his documentary like he's some kind of hero that people should look up to. That's a problem.
Let the law enforcement deal with that.
People have a right to know they're buying UFO truth documentary from a convicted fraud felon whose chief of operations was also.
I'd be easy on your words and accusations, certain things, in my opinion.
I have the court documents. They're public records. They're both convicted fraud felons.
Oh,
the person who runs his company and you and him.
Some of the background history of Billy, but what is that going to do with this S4?
This is a pattern that you guys, right? This S4 story is just the latest of the bullshit huckstering that you do to people. You huckster bullshit, bro. And the people you're involved with huckster bullshit. You're going to sit there with a straight face.
We're not huckstering anything, Steve.
You're huckstering bullshit.
Coordinates. Hold on. We received coordinates from UFO Proof that show that Google Earth labeled that S4 with
factually inaccurate statements in his video, and you ran with it. He said, "This is the S4 facility. This is it." That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
How could that be bullshit? Prove it.
Prove it's real. You prove it's real. You're the one making the money, Blake.
We proved that everybody around the
proved
world.
that a pin was there, that a text label was there, and it disappeared.
We proved it, Steven. We proved it.
That it was there and it disappeared, Steve. What's the big picture here? Don't you get it? We proved that it was there.
You didn't prove anything. You proved there was a text label for an unknown location out in the middle of the Nevada desert.
A government
that
pin.
bears zero resemblance to what Bob Lazar said it was.
Who cares
that
about
was not
Bob
where Bob Lazar said it was.
That. You're missing the point.
I'm missing the point that you need to make money selling bullshit. You need to make money selling bullshit, and you will do whatever mental gymnastics you have to do in order to do it. You're going to work with Greer. You're going to work with Greer. Why do you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement to attend one of his disclosure events? Do you know you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement?
Greer, when we did Countdown to Disclosure.
What about CE5? Did you have to cut all the CE5 shit out of your documentary? Do you believe that's
Steve, I'll give you a little bit of background about Greer, if you want to listen real quick. When we did Countdown to Disclosure, that was the biggest documentary of 2021. Because people were interested in the subject matter, and thank goodness that we put that out, because everybody would have believed Lou Elizondo and everybody else. I'm glad we
well, finally we get some common ground, because I don't believe that clown either. So
Greer
good, common ground.
Greer didn't make a penny off that documentary. Okay, he didn't ask
for
anything.
He made millions off his other documentaries, including
who cares?
Using a fake baby
he's dealing
alien
with the Cousins brothers, bro. He's dealing with us, and with us. With Countdown to Disclosure, he did not make a penny. All right, that's with the brothers, not with anybody else. I don't care about anybody else. I'm talking about who we in our realm.
Okay, so again, back to this point of taking the good and the bad. If you're going to put him in a documentary, shouldn't you tell people that he ran a documentary where he claimed a dead baby was an alien, and he could have just waited a few weeks to get those results before putting that documentary out, but he rushed it to get it out before the truth came out, because that's
still
what UFO hoaxes do.
Thing. The thing was a 7-inch figure. The bone structure on it seems more dense than what you're talking about. It. I'm not protecting it. There's still, I don't even know.
The man used a dead baby to make money off of an alien story. A dead baby. And you guys are giving him more work. Like, yeah, he's a hero. He used a dead baby to scam people for UFO dollars, made over $1 million. Then, a month after the documentary is released and he made $1 million, the proof that it's just a human deformed fetus comes out. And then
he claims the CIA covered it up.
Yeah, well, that's not our documentary. Are you telling people his history? You're putting him in a documentary like he's some kind of hero to disclosure, but you leave out all the bad. The guy ran a free energy scam to the tune of $500,000. Where's that money?
I don't ask.
The guy collected millions of dollars to make documentaries that cost 10 grand.
Don't ask.
You know what a documentary costs. What does a documentary cost to make?
His finances. All I know, he created the Disclosure Project back in the early 2000s.
25 years ago.
So that was worthless to you? He didn't do anything?
Well, actually, if you go through and pick through a lot of that information he presented, it's by less than credible people. Clifford Stone and others that have been proven bullshit artists.
What about all of them? All of them?
I'm not saying all of them, but a great deal of them. He went fast and loose with a lot of facts.
He shouldn't have done that thing
together. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it, but maybe, just maybe,
well, there you go.
A lot of that information was not credible, right?
Hey, in this field, a lot of this information that we receive from the public is really so. We're looking for the question whether we're alone or not in the universe, Steve. And if I can prove it to you, I wish I could. The problem is nobody can. So anybody that speaks in this field, unfortunately, gets looped in with this thing that, well, you didn't prove it. Well, the problem is we're all trying to prove it. There's something going on. There's a conspiracy. There's a cover-up, in my opinion. And to say that, to go after people that are trying to prove it one way or the other, in a way,
well, maybe we're dealing with a problem with the methods.
We're giving the evidence as fast as it comes in. We're talking with you right now.
No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, because I have a real problem with people that do certain things, and then when questions are raised, they don't defend their position. So I have tremendous respect that at least you're here and we're having a conversation. And I'm sorry I get passionate. I'm very.
That's great. That's what your character. I like that, Steve.
No, but here's the deal. I have this whole thing lately about everybody willing to take the benefits of their association with certain people. And, whether Rich believes it or not, people talk shit behind his back all the time for his association with you. They say he's getting pumped up by you. He's getting the subs and the clicks and the views because of his working with you, and he's not addressing any of these things, and people have a problem with that. People are taking the benefit of their association with certain people, and they are not giving people the full truth. Kind of like this Billy Carson thing. Billy Carson is running around selling UFO truth conferences. People should have the right to know that he's a convicted criminal that is running gambling scams and charity scams. His charity got revoked. He doesn't have the right to collect charitable
Billy Carson
donations.
is like the least point of what Third Phase Moon is about. You know, he made an appearance in our upcoming documentary, but do I think about Billy Carson as like how you're talking? Billy Carson is the last thing in our mind. But he has done some study. People like Billy. If people are aware of some of his background, maybe they don't. Maybe they're not aware of it. But
we got a question from
Billy
the live
Carson
chat.
is not Third Phase of Moon, and
Magic,
to affiliate us with that, we affiliated with tens of thousands of people over the years.
You're employing him in your documentary. I'm sure you paid him, right? You're employing him. All I'm saying is,
we never employed Billy.
If you're going to put him in your documentary,
hold on,
what, he just did it for free?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
They all the exposure that you'll bring him.
He has not. No, exactly. Not a single red set at all. So maybe Billy liked our questions. I don't know. He gave us access. We asked some questions. We didn't have to pay him a penny. All right.
Oh, we're just asking questions that we wanted to know for our documentary. We weren't trying to employ him or hire him. He gave us access, and it lasted for about 2 hours. We're in and out, and that was it.
Yeah, he's got about a 15-minute cut in a 2-hour documentary. What's the big deal?
We have a question from the live chat because somebody is asserting that anyone could have tagged that tag yellow. Do you have
and tell that person
background of that?
to tell that person to tag it Third Phase of Moon Base, and I'll give them $1,000 so the world could see it. If somebody could put a tag in there so I could see it and call it the Third Phase of Moon with the government seal on it, I'll pay them $1,000 right now.
Well, that's pretty good. Are you gonna?
You can't do it.
If it turns out to be water guzzlers, you're gonna give Jeremy $500.
It was a government label, Steve, and the fact that everybody thinks that it is simply able to be labeled by the public is being misconstrued by people like you and alien scientists who put out like anybody could tag things. This is a falsity on a high level where you're spreading disinformation by letting people know and think that anybody could tag it for the world to see. It's a falsity.
Well, we're going to dig deeper into it then, and we'll get more answers for you.
Well, it's a falsity, bro. We're telling you. It's false. We did our research already, and you can't do it. And I'll pay you $1,000 if you could give me a government official tag that I could see over S4 calling it the Third Phase of Moon Base. Please, people, I'll pay you $1,000. I'll pay you $10,000 if you could get me a government label on there, because it's not that easy.
You can upload a custom icon. Steve. Well, I'm just telling you what people are saying. I don't know.
I'm just saying you were saying that. You were saying that.
I know for a fact. I know for a fact that you can label a location. I don't know for a fact
when they don't
that you
know
can
the facts, bro. Debunkers suck when they don't know the facts.
I said you can add a location. I did not say you could add a government tag to it. I'm going to look more deeply.
Yeah, because we brought it up because you didn't know the facts.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm human too, but I do know for a fact that you can tag a location.
We're all human.
A missing
Everybody
location,
makes mistakes,
and it will add a text. It will add a text description of the location that you put in. So what we're down to then is the government pin, right?
The government pinned it, and now it's removed after we put it up. Isn't that suspicious? That's it.
That's great.
That's the story.
This is really good stuff, Steve, because what we did right now over the past 3 days of everybody talking about it and this big UFO community talking about what just happened, guess what? The government just erased it. Somebody did. We did something good, and everybody should look at that and question it.
Well, I agree that at least getting people talking about it is a good thing. But when people are asserting things as facts, like this is S4, just as Bob Lazar described, and that's not the case. And, this is the problem. I guess it comes down to the minutia sometimes. And some people don't care about the minutia or the specifics, and I do. It's just like the same thing. I have this pet peeve, and you guys, I'm sure, will maybe we could get some more common ground and we can agree on something. People always reference Bob Lazar as former government scientist. When they write about him, when they make videos about him, it's never been proven that he's a government, that he worked for the government,
I'm not a
or that
Bob
he's a
Lazar
scientist.
defender here. This isn't about Bob Lazar.
Okay.
Kyle talked about Bob Lazar. We just put up that video when he was the one that discovered it, and we just like, he did it within an hour or so. We're like, hey, let's share it on Third Phase Moon because this is very interesting. We weren't putting our own facts or opinions. It was Kyle that put it in.
And he's the one that brought it to our attention. And good job on Kyle for doing that, I got to say.
Well,
that
I don't
nobody
blame him
else
for
brought
bringing
it
the
to our
information. I don't blame him for bringing that information out, but I
There
think
you
that
go.
he is a little too much of a Bob Lazar supporter, and that's the problem. Just going, this is S4, just as Bob Lazar described. We finally found this S4 right where
That's
he said it would be.
hypothetical. I get
And
it.
it's
This
not-
is an
it's not where he
argument
said it would
between
be.
Bob Lazar stories. I got that. And it's unfortunate that it's getting clouded within the big picture of the story.
We reached out to our friend Jim Goodall. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I've talked to
And
Jim. I know Jim.
yeah, we got in contact with Jim and actually got Bob Lazar to speak with us within a couple hours for our documentary countdown, and that was awesome. We sent Jim these coordinates and we said, hey, ask if this is a location and see what Bob says. So we try to do our homework. We'll see if we get an answer.
But it's all comes down to what Bob Lazar says. And that is something we cannot prove one way or the other. But we can prove that, again, I'll pay anybody $10,000 if they could put Third Phase of Moon base on that S4 research facility with the government tag, because
Well,
it's
I could use
impossible.
$1,000.
The fact
so
is,
I'll-
it's not there
I'll
anymore.
look into it. Yeah. You know, part of me thinks that there might be somebody somewhere that is a member of the government who is having a nice laugh over this right now. I mean, that's a possibility.
Probably, but why would they take it down if they're laughing? But maybe, who
Well,
knows? I think
according to my friend who works at Google, if people report it as an inaccurate, that it's not a real location, I don't know if they investigate it before they take it, an inaccurate location down,
a government
or if they
tag,
just take
don't
it down.
forget.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to try to drill down with him. But the problem is that my friend works for Google as a software engineer, but not for Google Earth. And you know how huge that company is. So in order for him to get any information, it might take a long time, or he may never be able
Absolutely.
to give
We can't prove
answer.
one way or the other at this point, except the fact is what we reported as factual on Third Phase of Moon. And we got to watch the language here, because when you're talking, I don't want to go around in circles here. I think we've covered the basis on
No,
this.
yeah, we have, and we understand each other's points better. And I think we're going to do. I'm sure you're going to look more into the story, and I'll look more into the story, and then we'll both benefit. And maybe we could come to some kind of agreement at the end of it. The problem is, it's going to be very hard to. This is one of those things like chasing your tail. Welcome to ufology, because I may be unable to disprove that that's anything like people claim it is, that it's not even buildings. I might not even be able to prove that it's not even buildings. And you might not be able to prove that it is buildings, or that it is a research facility. So we're going to be both chasing our tails and chasing shadows, trying to get to the truth. And that's,
I think the story's done. I think it already revealed itself in a way that
I'm late to the party
because
here.
it created a lot of dialogue, and it's great. A lot of people, usually Third Phase of Moon doesn't go out and protect and defend every single video, because that'd be impossible to do. When we receive videos from the public all the time, we're just putting out stuff that we don't know what's going on. That's our kind of goal, and we've been doing it for about 5 years exclusively to put out.
Yeah, and I should apologize again, because another thing, and this is what I thought about when people are critical of you. I try to put myself in that person's shoes. I don't want to look at UFO videos and tell people anything about them, because there's too much out there that is fake, and I wouldn't want to risk saying, look at this great UFO footage, and then you find out 3 weeks later that some CGI artist in Denmark made this for a
and let me tell you,
project,
Steve,
or whatever.
We put out, there's videos that come across from the public, and we don't claim this is the mothership. We don't claim this is something from another world. We say, could it be this? We say, could it be a hot air balloon? Could it be this? Whatever. We call it out at the most. We're bringing the panel members. Rich goes over it. We all have our own opinions.
No, I
And
know.
that's
I
what
know
we bring
Rich
on
has said you're
Third
trying
Phase
to
Moon is the
improve. And I
opinions.
was happy to see Rich I watched some of those videos where Rich was a little more critical. And I think it's good to bring in somebody that's not going to jump right to aliens with everything they see, or, because that's a problem.
We don't
too.
either.
No,
We all
I'm not
have
saying that you
different
do, but it's good to have that critical, somebody that's a little more critical or skeptical, so that you don't jump, headlong into it's aliens with every video that you see, right?
Of course. All we're saying is we get the evidence, we put it out, and sometimes we're right. Sometimes nobody knows what's going on, and sometimes once in a great while, somebody points out, like, well, this is on a CGI channel before, and we're like, well, shoot, man, nobody could get it right all the time, especially when you're dealing with a mass amount of information.
Like I said, putting myself in your place, I wouldn't want to. We don't do any analysis of UFO videos here. Once in a while, I'll play one, but we tend to avoid that because there's just too many fakes out there.
No, we're pretty good in deciphering the fakes. The matter is, we're not putting up fake videos. Every once in a great while, 1%, 0.5% will get in there somehow or another. We even got tricked by it. But overall, there's nobody, in my opinion, 99% of the submissions that we put up on Third Phase of Moon are people that captured the phenomenon. They don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. And the people, 99% of these people have no intention to do any kind of fraud, manipulation, deceitfulness. They're just sharing it with us because they don't know what it is. There is no deceit by the public in a general way, from what we've found out over the years. They're just genuine people. They don't know what it is, and they're not trying to deceive anybody. These are the videos we're putting out. I'm not talking about other channels.
That comment you just posted up there about that person saying you can choose options. Yeah, that's for your screen. But if you want us to
doesn't mean it's going to be put up. Yeah. We're going to have to drill down and clarify.
Yeah, Rich.
And I've been
hanging out for 2 years right now. And have we ever shared with you like any material that we can't debate and talk about and understand that this is a fucking hoax? And we're going to put this up just to get clickbaits. Do we do that?
It's never happened once. Not even close. Sorry. Never.
Appreciate that. It's true.
And you guys hate CGI, and you hate when I bring it up, and you're like, look, dude, it ain't CGI. We don't fucking do that shit. I told you, we're not into that. And, it started off a little rough, and we didn't agree, and we still don't agree on a lot of things. And that's okay, as long as, we understand and respect each other, and understand that it's just our opinion, and we all have different roads we go down. I know a lot of people here were mad I wasn't saying anything while you guys were talking. I'm like, why would I interrupt a great conversation, number one, and number two?
Some would say great argument, and I apologize for that. I should be a little more respectful, so I apologize.
I understand why you got excited, because I'm the same way. And I actually hung up on Third Phase of Moon the first time they tried reaching out to me on my show. I'm like, I'm not dealing with them. And I, hung up on him. And Dave Scott was like, well, maybe let's hear what they have to say. And I'm like, all right. I was their number one, hater back in the day, to be honest. Why would somebody who hates Third Phase of Moon so much become really good friends with them? Because I know what goes on. I know what these guys.
No, and I remember, Rich, I remember you from way back, and I listened to some of your stuff way back. So then when I heard that you were working with them, I was like, that's weird, But then we talked, and you said, well, they're trying to do better, and I have to be a little more diplomatic, and not everything is so black and white. But here's the thing. Here's what's funny. Blake, you and I had a nice talk on Alien Addict show. Do you know that other show hosts ripped me a new asshole just for being nice to you? And I thought, that's not fair. I never talked to him before. Tonight I got a little problem more pushy, too. That's a big problem. I can't be nasty to you off the bat like I was polite to you. Why were you so polite?
Well, I get
guys,
it.
And then I'm like, Well, do you want me to make an enemy of everyone on the
Right.
first time I talk to them? Like, just
Well, that's what I
be-
give Rich. I give Rich a lot of respect, and people
yeah,
that
he's a
deal
little
with
more
Third
diplomatic.
Phase
I
Moon
gotta work on that.
realize that there is this stigma, a false stigma, in my opinion. But when we decided like two and a half years ago, when MUFON was falling apart, that we needed to maybe change things up on YouTube. MUFON had their lead guy lose it for whatever allegations. We don't need to get in that. But Brandon and I decided, like, well, let's bring in another aspect to Third Phase Moon, and we started to reach out to about 6 people, including Rich and Doc Skinner and Dr. J and a few others, and said, hey, look, you're going to get the same information that we receive on a daily basis. Let's go over it. And
Yeah.
something changed in a dynamic of, I think, the UFO world and YouTube, because we didn't see anything like that in this field. Nobody was doing what we're doing, especially sharing the evidence to Rich. We're saying, hey, Rich, would you be prepared to deal with us on a daily basis as information comes through, and comment on that and videotape yourself and send us
No,
that
and
video
that's a fair
so we
way to
could
do it.
have a
That's a good way to
dialogue
do
on
it.
all
I
this
like the
stuff?
panels.
And we
I like
convinced
the
5 or
panels.
6 people to do that in a day, and we started putting out these episodes with no angle. We're just saying, just give us your opinion. I don't know how much better you could get in a field in regards to this phenomenon that we're all asking questions. Nobody could prove anything. We're not experts. We always claimed we're not UFO experts.
Yeah.
We've always said that. So I think people need to settle down a little bit, especially when we bring forth information. But again, we're bringing information, in my opinion, is not clickbaity. It's factual.
Well,
If you
I
look at the
would
title.
disagree with you. I would disagree with you. And by the way, somebody posted a link to an article where YouTube is saying that you should not use clickbait or deceptive ads.
It's not clickbait. They say make your titles pop.
As long as you're not lying about the content.
And we're not lying about the
can
content.
Right. You can make them pop like that and tell the and talk
the
about it.
YouTube algorithm.
I think there's a lot of gray areas.
Even some of the best channels out there, Vertasium and all these other people that are highly successful and legitimate as best as you could be, they even say you need to do it. And we're doing it in the right way.
It's not clickbait. The titles are proper, but you got to make them pop. And what's that? Vertasium?
Mm-hmm.
He's got like 6 million views. Whatever.
No, 6 million subscribers.
6 million subscribers.
60.
Yeah, I gotta give you that. And you know what? You know what is another thing that I noticed? Here's another thing that I noticed that's not UFO related, but it talks to this issue on YouTube. Off-grid channels about off-grid living and living in a cabin. I have a cabin. I watch a lot of these. There are channels out there where every single thumbnail is the guy who runs the channel's girlfriend's or wife's ass or boobs in the thumbnail, and it's like off-grid in winter, cozy, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like every single thumbnail is boobs or butt in order to get people to click. But I have to admit, if you look at the channels that are doing that, they have 5 times the views of the channels that don't do that. So to me, it's like, is that right to do or wrong to do? I don't know. It's a gray area, that, right?
The people, our like ratio is at 98% of people that thumbs up our videos. So if it was clickbait, people would be negative. And I can tell you this, when Third Phase Moon came out like 10 years ago as a wild west on YouTube, we're just putting up whatever people are sending to us with no dissemination. You know, it wasn't the right way, in my opinion. We changed. We absorbed the people's comments, but it was about 98% thumbs down. All right. It was the other way.
It was so bad. When I first got connected.
Way.
Yeah, when I first got connected with these guys, it was awful. Not as bad as it used to be, but my God,
now they took the dislike away.
Yeah, but even before that, they were at like 93, 94%. It didn't really change much. They were in the 90s. Yet that hate has gone away pretty much.
It used to be 90% hate. Now it's 96% 7% thumbs up.
Well,
That's because it's
that's
not
progress.
clickbait, because what they see on the channel is something that they've never seen before, and we can't explain, period.
Yeah. And again, I just want to say, I wouldn't want your job. I think that would be a nightmare because, you know, I would worry, oh, this might be fake, and then I'm going to have to apologize for it. And I do know that you guys have apologized for some of the stuff or whatever. It's just, there's so much fake stuff out there that I wouldn't want to be in your position and be somebody to say, well, we're just going to put it out there and
we don't have a problem coming out when we always say it. A lot of these videos that we put up, we say we probably will get the answer by the end of the day because Third Phase Moon put it up, and we're waiting for you, the public, to give us an answer. Let us know.
Here's what I'm going to tell you I'm going to do, and I think this is a good experiment for me. I have 20 or 30 UFO videos that users here, chat room members, viewers, listeners have sent me and said, maybe you could share this on your show. I filmed this and told me the story about it, and I've never aired any of that. So what I think I'm going to do as an experiment is I'm going to try what you guys do for a short time. I'm going to put the video up. I'm going to say, what could this be? I'll give my theory and opinion, and then we'll see.
Send it over to
what
me.
happens. Or I'll send it over to Rich as well.
And then
I'll
give you a video that you post on my comments.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we can try that. And then maybe I'll gain some greater understanding and not be so critical or so harsh, because I might get lambasted when some of this stuff that I post turns out to be not real or already debunked and I don't know it. Or maybe somebody sent me a video that they claim they took.
Nobody's perfect. We come out and say, hey, look, we got it wrong. Hey, we can't. When we find out what it is after the fact, which happens, we will post a follow-up. We can't do it for every single one because there's so much information coming in. You just got to let it roll. You know, it is a world of information, and the problem is it comes in super fast. So to go back and tell everybody, look, I messed up on this every single time is impossible. But when it comes to the big ones, we do. The big ones we do. And we will call out when we see something getting viral on the internet about the stupidest UFO you'll ever imagine video. We'll come out and showcase that and say, hey, guys, let's stop this because it's obviously not what you think it is. And we'll debunk. We even debunk shit, but we don't do it all the time.
Well, I do think that some of that is convenient. Like how many stories the money's already made, and then the proof that it's fake comes out. We've seen it with the Roswell slides. We've seen it with the Atacama humanoid. We've seen it with so many different stories where they run and get the money first, and then the proof.
It depends on the intention of it, though. That's the whole thing.
You're
if they're
right.
purposely trying to do it, then that's not what we do. Like Rich just said, he's been following us. We've been working with Rich for a few years now. We don't do that. We don't follow clickbait and try to money grab off videos. We only put out videos that seem that we don't know what it is. We're not looking for. That's not. We're different. Don't clump us in with that shit. All right.
I'll try to be fair. I will give you my honest. I will try to be fair and not be so critical. Because, like I said, I'm going to try doing what you do, and then I'll get an education and maybe not be so critical. I'll try it.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you this, Steve. What purpose do you have in ufology?
Well, I told the story one time. It's on an audio recording from an audio podcast. When I was 10 years old, I saw a UFO that I can only describe as silent, metallic, 100-foot in diameter.
Yeah, sure.
In the middle of a forest.
About that? So, what's your purpose now?
Now I want to know what I saw as a child still, and I want to know if there's truth to any of these stories. I've been fascinated by these stories. But as far as
bringing a following to your social media, what do you bring to the table? What are you going to bring?
I do an awful lot of investigative journalism work that I think is sorely needed in this community, and a large part of what I've been focusing on is revealing frauds and fakes and some of the dirty deeds in ufology. And that's a terrible place to find yourself at this table, but I still think that it's necessary. And we do a lot of that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that people have the right, like I was saying earlier, to know, for example, if they're buying a UFO truth conference from criminals. Because maybe if they knew that the people selling the UFO truth conference were criminals, they wouldn't be so quick to purchase it. It's just my opinion, but and all these other things. I know you've I think you guys had Corey Good on your show. We just did a whole expose proving that he paid somebody to take pictures of Bill Ryan's house, and we got all the receipts for that, including the Western Union, wire that he sent Bill Ryan's neighbor in order to threaten, intimidate, and harass Bill
I don't
Ryan.
know who Bill Ryan is, but
From Project
all
Camelot.
he knows, and you could ask Rich right here. When I had Corey Good on, and we've had him on a few times, and David Wilcock, but we didn't pull any punches with our questions. We asked them straight up, how is anyone going to believe you if you don't have any proof to say? Your statements are of grandeur. We
6 years worth of stories, no proof.
Seriously.
How can people take you seriously? We asked these questions where nobody else was able to ask, because everybody's kiss ass with these guys. But they came on our show and we asked them big questions. So there's a difference. Don't lump us in with these other guys. We don't fall for this. We ask what the public wants to hear.
Yeah.
And if they got a story to tell, well, we got a platform to let them share it. But remember that, Rich? You heard those questions we gave Wilcock and Corey Good.
That was one of the interviews that triggered me into really paying attention to what you guys were doing, because I'm like, wait a minute, I thought these guys were different. Why are they asking these guys these hard ass questions that I've never heard anybody ask? And
we see that a lot with Lou Elizondo. He only does this.
Like we asked Lou Elizondo.
Yeah, we're calling out Lou Elizondo. We're not fucking around here. Sorry for my language.
They have changed, man. I tell you what, if you keep saying fake UFOs, Stephen, fake UFOs, they got 100 of them. They don't. They're not fake. They're all real.
Maybe I over-exaggerated, but I know over the years I've seen that, both from them and from Secure Team 10, so many. But I will say in Third Phase Defense that I put him in a different category because he literally got caught manufacturing fake stories, being on a voice disguiser, pretending to interview himself and other things. So I tried after that to not lump them in with them, but I think that part of what may be happening is like a mixture of those two channels and all of the fake stuff, later being shown.
Secure Team.
I know you have a problem with UFO interest.
Secure Team is a mimic of Third Phase of Moon, and that's not when you mimic something. There's a flaw with a mimic, in my opinion.
Let's
talk
like a
about
Xerox
that.
copy. Like big channels like Third Phase and Secure Team. There's only so many of them out there, and we've been doing this for years, reaching out to the people personally over the decade, and reaching out to YouTube channels that go on personal channels and talk to them exclusively. No other big YouTube channel has.
Oh yeah, and I know. I was amazed that you guys wanted to come on today. I'm like, and I got yelled at by saying that I'm in the UFO ghetto. Like somebody tried to turn that into I don't appreciate my following. I love my audience. I was joking because you guys have 700,000 subscribers and I have 4. Or something like that. So I made a joke about UFO ghetto. I got bitched at for that. I got bitched at for being nice to you. I'm sure I'm going to get bitched at for being nice, for trying to be a little more diplomatic and nice.
Well, that's fine. Hopefully the audience in your channel got to hear both sides.
There's a couple trollers,
and there's some trollers in there. That's fine.
Yeah, there always
Everybody's
is. Yeah,
entitled to their own opinion for sure, and it's great. It's interesting to get out into the field. Again, we don't really cover certain things, but I just want to get back to the S4. It was a government staff. It was
Spooky's in the live chat. We're going to call my experiment the 4th phase of Cambion. That's what we're going to call it when
it was.
And I got it. Right. Oh, by the way, one compliment I will give you is you got to send me whatever vocoder or software you use to make that Third Phase of Moon bumper, because I make electronic music, and one of my things is vocoders. I have 4 different vocoders here, plus probably 6 different software vocoders. Love vocoders. I don't know which one you used, so you have to get back to me on that.
Well, you have to ask Paul Barrett. He's the guy.
He's the guy that does the music. Yeah,
that's Paul Barrett. He's got a great channel. K5. Paul Barrett. He's the man.
That's something I can appreciate and respect you for, because I just like electronic music and vocoders. So that's such an iconic, when you hear that come on, that's a great bumper. I'll give you that. Now I'm going to do fourth phase of Cambion. I'm going to, dude. And I got some that I'm pretty sure are CGI. I'm pretty sure some of them that I got are CGI. I don't know what I'm going to do about this. We're going to have to bring in a CGI
those are
expert.
the ones you don't talk about.
Don't share those ones. Yeah, yeah.
You want to put up the ones that look at the, that you can't debunk.
That's what we're trying to do, Steve. Trying to put out stuff that nobody could debunk.
Well,
as
listen,
best as we possibly can.
I'm glad that we had this talk, and I'd much rather be, like more respectful towards you and say like, and there's people in the live chat that swear they're going to take your 10 grand, right? So we'll see what happens with this. And
show me a government label with Third Phase of Moon on it. So
I give you my word that I'm going to get back on the phone with BLM and whoever else that I could think of that might be able to confirm for us what that actual site is.
That's a test.
Yeah, why hasn't anybody sent me that link if it's so easy? It should have been done.
I think though, in fairness, it takes some time for it to show up as a public
with the government link. That's the fact. Not anything else but a government link. Not I don't want a government pin. A government pin.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Third Phase of Moon base, please.
Where's the government pin? I'm going to go on that.
And then we'll come out.
And I'm pretty sure you guys got it to give. So
And it wasn't 10,000. It was 1,000.
Oh, was it 1,000? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's still good.
I want 10,000 if somebody could put a government pin on it.
You want 10,000, or are you going to pay?
I'll
them?
pay 10,000. Somebody that could prove that there's a Third Phase of
Moon
government pin on
with a government
right
pin on it
for sure.
Oh shit! I didn't know. Okay.
Because I know it's not that easy. It's impossible.
It would have been done already. It would have been done when you asked.
No, because it could take up to, according to my friend at Google, when you do put a pin in.
But with the government pin, Steve,
I don't know if it's government or just a description. Just a description. If you add a location, it could take up to several weeks for Google Maps servers to update and the text description of what you added be public. How long it takes for the government pin, or whether they verify this is by a government source or this is a government installation or whatever, I don't know yet. So we're going to look into that. I'm going to get back on the phone with BLM. In my experience with government offices, I got to go in nice, and then start getting nasty, and then they'll get back to you. Because I write down, I called you on this date and time and asked, I talked to this person, I called you on this date and time, this date and time, this date and time. Nobody's getting back to me. I just need an answer. I always lie.
Don't waste too much time on that.
I'm not going to waste too much time on it. No.
But good luck
because
with
the
that.
answer will be...
The offer stands for like 4 or 5 days. Good luck.
The offer stands for 4 days.
Well, it does only take 2 days because that's how quick they can remove it.
Yeah, it could be that fast. You're right, Rich.
They removed it in 2 days. Why can't they put it up in 2 days?
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of people in the live chat that believe you're wrong. I don't know that you're wrong.
I know.
So I won't say wrong
because people are spreading the misinformation.
Well,
but
it might
that's
be true
okay.
or
The
not
chat
true,
thinks it's that easy. Somebody's going to win $10,000. I don't think so.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, but I predict that this is going to be one of those things where I won't be able to prove you wrong, and you won't be able to prove you right.
Name your new title, Steve, and just call it Third Phase Moon offers $10,000 to call it S4 Third Phase Moon Base
with the government tag.
I'll put that in the description. Yeah, I'll absolutely do that. I'll make a separate video. I'll clip this out.
There's your clickbait title.
Yeah. $10,000 reward.
That's a fact, bro.
Third Phase offers $10,000 reward. I will clip this out and we'll do that. If somebody can do what you're asking. And just to be clear, you want somebody to label that facility, or let's just say one. Can we say one that's on Area 51 base or that area location?
Yeah, I want them to change the S4 location that was dubbed by Google with the government stamp. Name it Third Phase of Moon Base. With the government stamp, yes.
Yeah, and I can get the coordinates for people and put them in the.
Everybody knows where the location is. The problem is it's not labeled there anymore. That's the problem. And I wouldn't.
So just to be clear, if somebody can label that location, Third Phase of Moon Base,
with
the government
and for all
stamp,
of us to go see it in real time, bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Yeah, where I can search it on my end.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be publicly available to anybody on Google Maps to see it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
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 People are getting really. Pragmagic says define government stamp.
Not a
Yeah.
yellow pin,
Yeah.
a government pin.
Government pin.
Pragmatic.
It looks like it looks like a.
These guys really want to take your 10 grand. People are going to try. And you
Yeah,
know what?
but they're
I
not
think
going
this
to
is
take
good.
it because they can't do it.
I think
they
this is
can't.
great, though, because then we'll have a definitive answer whether that's possible or not. Because you'll be able to say, and I'll agree with you, if 3-4 days passes and nobody's able to do it, I'll say they must be right. I'm going to try to do it. I'd like 10 grand, right?
Please
people in
do.
live chat are
And
gonna
at
try
the end
so
of it,
we'll all
everybody
know.
owes a UFO proof Kyle an apology.
Yeah, I would
Not just
apologize
third
to
phase
him and
moon,
say I
but
was wrong.
UFO proof.
Yeah.
Because he did a good job. He did a really good job. We've known Kyle for 10 years.
His
And
his
it's
voice
just
sounds
interesting
incredibly
because you
familiar
have
to me, but I don't
affiliates in
know
this
him.
field. But that was his first submission to third phase moon. That was his first discovery that I felt, people, it's not everybody finds a discovery, but some people could find it once in their life. And I got to say, Kyle did a great job finding that. And it opened up a lot of dialogue. And that is just a fact. And I'll stick to it. It's really neat. And people are accusing them of actually putting that tag in, which is, if it's that easy, somebody's going to get $10,000 because they're not.
Yeah, pretty good. And just a shout out to UFO Proof. If you don't know who he is, go subscribe to him and tell him Third Phase of Moon sent you.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I'm anxious to see what else he uncovers. If that's the first thing that he sent you, I would look at whatever he finds next. Sure.
Hey, Spooky.
Not everybody's
going
going to find anything. It's just it's very rare that anybody finds anything as an individual. We're dealing with the world where we have, tens of thousands of people that are watching this on a daily basis. That's how we get the information. It's not an individual that brings us the information. It's the world on a continuous basis. Individual people that send us stuff, those are the people you got to be suspicious about.
Yeah. I'm very suspicious. People send me all kinds of information, and I got to verify it and double check. And because
I hope for third's sake, the government employees that are watching this, of course they are, but they're going to have to prove they put it in there. Whatever. I don't care. If somebody puts it up there, then Steve's going to.
Third Phase Moon base is there.
And nobody wants to lay claim on it. Who gets paid?
Yeah, who gets paid when that's where.
Who gets paid? Who gets paid for that?
Me. I'll take the money. No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna put the coordinates out to the live chat so that people can try to do it.
Hey, Moody Mongol, that's Secure Team, not Third Phase, who got picked up for DUI.
Yeah, that's another thing. I've heard many people say
it would have been done already.
It would have been done already. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
people have been talking about this for 3 days now. It's easy to put a pin. It's not.
Well, actually, I did put a pin not in that location and called it Third Phase of Moon Base at some other little structure or shack.
Can I look at it?
But no. Well, here's what I'm trying to explain. I put it in. It didn't show up publicly, and it's been about 12 hours. So I don't know. But according to my friend at Google, it could take up to a couple of weeks for a text description when somebody adds a location to show up publicly on Google Maps. So, we're kind of at an impasse until people have time to play with it.
We've heard information from inside of Google that it actually takes. There is a section of Google Earth that pays people as employees to label that exclusively. It's not just the public. Some people are insinuating that the public is the one that labels all of Google Earth, but the fact
no, it's not quite as loose as Wikipedia or something like that.
Employees within. It's their full-time job.
Yeah.
We should have brought in UFO.
Somebody suggesting
I know.
that.
Yep.
Kyle from Secure Team is it him
talking
that
about
it? Spot? No. Who's that?
No.
Me?
Yeah, you
and Kyle.
Victor.
We should get Kyle on.
Yeah, I would be happy to. Yeah. Like I said, I want to call the Bureau of Land Management, see if we can get any answers. I want to try this pin stuff. And I don't know if I have any other leads that we could really shake down to try to get more information, but I'm going to do my due diligence and see if we can pull any more information. The problem is a lot of times this is dead ends.
This is
Yeah, I don't
Area
think so either.
51 that we're talking about. It's a problem, and well, good luck. I'm just saying, good luck with that.
BLM management's not going to give any guidance to anything that's in top secret locations, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but hey, Steve, it's been a pleasure hanging out. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah,
man.
listen, I have a
Appreciate
lot
it.
of respect for you guys coming on, and I'm sorry that it was under these circumstances.
No
Like, this
apologies,
guy's talking
no
shit.
apologies.
Let's go straighten him out. But you did, in a certain sense.
Let's give them
Straighten me
what
out a
they
little
wanted
bit.
for. I want to bodies. Let's give them what they want.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Steve, appreciate it. Thanks for having us on the show.
All right.
That
Best of
takes
luck to you guys.
Yep. Okay, man. We'll talk
All
to you
right.
soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, there we have it. Boy, what a surprise. I was expecting to just go through the information that I had that, I don't believe this is S4. I don't believe it's Bob Lazar's S4, but if they're just going to say the facts are that it was the text description said S4, we reported it, and then the text description was removed, well, that's factually accurate. But the rest of it, I suppose I have a problem with, such as people making factual statements like, this is S4. This is just as Bob Lazar described. I mean, I think that's relevant. These guys don't think that any discussion of Bob Lazar is relevant. They just want to harp on the facts. And in their defense, yeah, the facts are somebody found this location. They reported on it. Alien scientists said it's not a real location and directed people to report it to Google as not a real location. And then it was respected. I disagree, I guess. Or I think there's more. There's more to the story, because if this person from UFO Proof says this is S4, just as Bob Lazar described, and it's not as S4 as Bob Lazar described, then I have a problem with that, because it is again doing these mental gymnastics to fit what was found as evidence into the story because you want it to be evidence. So I'll take, we're going to do, I don't know that I missed super chats. One thing I want to mention is that I'm going to get shit either way from this tonight. I'm going to get shit from people who want me to be nasty to them, right? And, I'm not that familiar. So maybe in fairness, I am conflating a lot of fake videos that Secure Team 10 did with them. And some of them that I'm remembering or think I'm remembering could be from them. I'm trying to be fair here. And, like I said, I'm going to get crap either way. I'm going to get crap for being, some people are going to say, you were too nice. Some people are going to say, why weren't you nicer to them? They're doing, good work. Everybody's got their side of the fence. And I guess I'm doing a balancing act here, just trying to, walk down the top of the fence here without falling off of the fence. And that's difficult, right? Big Fat Creep says, thanks, Third Phase and Goof On. And I'm glad that we had a talk, because at least those guys know how I feel about them, especially now. I mean, before, I was on a quick show with Alien Addict with those guys, and I was a lot more polite. Tonight, I got some things off my chest about what I feel about their documentary. And we talk like men tonight, and that's healthy. They didn't shy away. They didn't run when I started asking hard questions. They showed up, and they defended their position. And I got to say, I respect that. I respect that they did that, especially because they have a huge channel. They don't need to be down here in the UFO ghetto with me going, why are you talking shit, Steve Campion? But they did. So I have a tremendous amount more respect for them than I did. And since I have more respect for them now, I'm going to try to be fair. I really am going to try to be fair. Oh, see, people are very polarized on these issues. Brandy Phillips is here and says, next time ask Gufon how much Third Phase and Moon pay him to be their lapdog. See, that's the stuff that people say behind Rich's back. To me, people have said very disparaging things about Rich's association with them behind his back to me. And I say, say it to his face, right? I like Rich. I think Rich does a good show. He does a good job. He's very passionate about what he does. I expressed to Rich my concerns with him being affiliated with them. But everybody has their own choices to make. One of the choices I made here was to interview Anjali. And boy, did I get a lot of flack for that. I explained why I chose to interview Anjali. But to some people, that was me selling out to get clicks and views. And I gotta say, that was like the most viewed video we ever did here. So if I was just after clicks and views, I would have had her on 10 more times, right? I did. We did one show with an interview with her, and then we did another show sort of picking apart what was said, the fallout after she did not provide any proof or any evidence, right? Brandy says, I have said it to his face. He hides from me now. I can't see what he says anymore. Well, I'm sorry that you have a problem with Rich. I consider him a friend and a friend of the show. So, please try to be respectful of friends of the show. Rich didn't have to come on here and talk about this today, but he did. He took time out of his day, a couple hours really, to come here and talk about these things. He didn't have to do that. He did us a favor doing that. And I'm telling you, I planned on going through some of the proof and evidence that was found that would indicate that this is not any alien research base. It may be something as stupid as a water guzzler. Now, the guys from Third Phase brought up a very good point. Why would they put a water guzzler in a very irradiated area? Would seem to be detrimental to animals to be shoveling radiated water. But I don't know about that. I'm going to try to get answers about that from the Bureau of Land Management. And that could be problematic because the government never gets back to you. It is a nightmare. Ask any researcher. You've got to call a government office and ask questions and get some answers. It could take weeks, months, or never. And I'm very detail oriented when I do research calls, especially when I'm talking to government officials, because in my experience, it's very helpful to be able to nail them to the wall and say, I called on December 1st, I called on December 3rd, December 8th, December 9th. I talked to this person, this person, this person. On this date and time, I sent this email. I've sent, you got to hammer them to get an answer. You got to hammer them with how many times you've called. You got to hammer them with how many emails you sent. And if you're not able to do that, sometimes they just never get back to you. You got to almost be, I don't want to say nasty, but you got to be very aggressive with government types. And I have been known to say, give me your supervisor. Who is your direct superior? I want to talk to them, not you. You're not helping me. And you're supposed to be, And I pull the tax. I'm a taxpayer. I'm asking a question, So here's what we're going to do, friends. We're going to take a short musical break. And then I'm going to come back and make sure that I've read all the super chats. Then we'll take some comments and questions from the audience. So get your questions, your comments ready. I want to remind everyone that this is a viewer-supported show. What does that mean? There's a few ways that you could be a viewer supporting our show. The first way is to throw a couple bucks in our hat. There is Patreon. You can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month and get some extra content. We try to post something every week extra for the Patreon supporters. You can send a PayPal donation. The link is in the description. Or you can send a super chat. That money button down there in the live chat. And we read each and every super chat and thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. We appreciate each and every one of you who are throwing a couple of bucks in our hat and helping us continue on this journey. You have all given me an attitude of gratitude. And it's amazing to me that there's people all over the world throwing a couple of bucks in my hat so that I get to keep doing this. So if you have a super chat to share, or you want to purchase a super sticker to support the show, please do that now. I'm going to play a short musical break. And when we return, I will read all the super chats. We'll take comments, questions from the live chat, and we'll do some yeah, what do you guys think? I think this was a cool conversation, and I'm blown away. I'm a little disappointed that I got a little too heated. You know, I got a little too. I should have been nicer, because those guys didn't have to come here, and I'm really trying. I'm really, it's one of my New Year's resolution: be kinder, gentler, and more diplomatic, right, and fairer. That's a tough job what those guys do. I wouldn't want it, but I'm going to try it. We got some UFO videos, and I'm going to do a UFO report on those, and we'll see what happens. I could get called out for posting fake videos as early as next week if we get these done. We'll see what happens, but I'd like to do that because then it might give me some empathy, more empathy towards the obstacles and challenges that those guys are facing trying to do what it is that they do. Yeah. All right, friends. So I'm going to bounce on out of here. We're going to play Aliens Electric is one of, it's from Dance or Die. I'm sorry about that. So let's enjoy a musical guest. I will be right back, folks.
Hold the bloody burden
And we are back, friends. I'm just going to check in. We are going to check in with the. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. That's better. So what we're going to do is we're going to check on all the super chats. Make sure we read them all. But first, I'm going to check in with the PayPal. If you do send a PayPal donation, please be sure to include your chat room user ID. And then please be sure to add a note, something for us to shout out. Oh, great. So we got a PayPal donation from Christopher in support of Truthseekers show. Kind and generous $10. Christopher from Arizona. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Thank you for helping us to praise the cash and keep the show going. Here's what we will do as well. I am going to let's see, check in with the super chats. Sometimes it gets a little difficult. So I'm going to make sure that we read every single one of them. And I'm going to share my screen here so we can recognize those kind and generous people who have sent a super chat and helped us to praise the cash, friends. This is from, I'm sorry. So we have too much information with a kind and generous $3 super sticker purchase. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Bricktop with a kind and generous $2 super chat says, show your face, Moon. Bricktop with another $5 super chat says, I get the Lazar doubt, but do you think ETs or dimensional beings are visiting Earth? I believe that ETs may be visiting Earth, or interdimensional beings may be visiting Earth, and may have been visiting Earth for quite some time. Third Phase of Moon sent us $5. And that's another reason why I got a lot of respect for him. I'm like busting his balls, and he comes in the live chat and sends me $5 to say, get me on the show, get me on the show. Hello. And I apologize to him for not seeing that sooner, but, in the middle of a presentation, sometimes I'm not paying attention to the live chat. I run this whole show myself, produce the whole show myself, but thank Third Phase of Moon for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. Much, much appreciated. Bricktop with a kind of generous $5 super chat saying, I'm not saying it's real, but how the F did he know about the hand scanners and whatnot? Well, we talked about that. Those hand scanners were in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He could have seen it there or other places. He worked on radiation health monitoring equipment, at least we know, around Area 51 base. In that case, he may have been at a location that's not Area 51 or S4 that had one of those hand scanners. So, yeah. That's where we're at, friends. So thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support of the show. It is much appreciated. So any comments, questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Some of you know that I happen to be visually impaired. I have a paralyzed eye. So putting your comment in all caps really does help me to know that a comment is meant for me to share and talk about, and not just chat back and forth to other users in the live chat. Chain Minds Asylum is here. It says maybe he'll be sending you $10,000 soon. God knows I could use the money. I just mentioned that my wife, we've got like a $10,000 dental bill. So that would sure help a lot, having 10,000 Third Phase of Moon dollars. And I'm going to try it, but I have a feeling that you're not going to be able to relabel that same location. That's my opinion, but we'll see. Mike Gambali says, it only took $5 to pay me off. I'm a cheap whore, Mike. I'm a very cheap whore. No, listen, anybody that I'm talking about here has the right, and I would encourage them to come here and we'll have a conversation. And then it's not so one-sided, right? It's not me just busting balls. They can they can come here and defend their position, and they did. And I got to say, I agree with some of what they said. I disagree with some of the other stuff that they said. You know, Moody Mongol is here and says, third phase appears to be clickbaiters who do not no checking while they say they did and post videos out of context with willful ignorance. When I have time, I'll deep dive the recent videos. Hey, Moody Mongol, we'll have you as a guest here and we can talk about that. B. Baker says, well, if third phase had given $50, you guys would be raising holy hell. Come on, tell the truth. Yeah, I think if he had given me more than $5, people would have said that, you know, oh, he bribed his way. He gave Cambion $50, so Cambion gave him a pass or something. You're right, B. Baker. Somebody would have done something like that. And I just want to mention tonight's show is very, very late, and that is because it is my wife's birthday, or it was earlier. Her birthday is on the 4th. It's almost 3 a.m. here. Great. But I want to wish my wife a happy birthday. So earlier tonight we had, you know, Chinese food feast because I didn't want my wife to have to cook or clean up anything. They even give you free Tupperware with the Chinese food. It's a great deal. Yes, Spooky, I see your comment, and I'm going to do that next. World Chaos 76 says, B. Baker, this was just too eye-opening after the last few years. Goofon and Truthseekers really brought me to this conclusion. It's all facade. May very well be. And I think my analogy about chasing your tail or chasing shadows trying to find the truth is a very good one. It just seems that it always seems like you're chasing shadows or chasing a story, chasing your tail, and you never catch it, right? Victor Caliero commenting, Steve, yes, it's very unlikely that they will let others change it again now that there was already a dispute about the tag. Just my guess. Well, I'm going to try to label someplace else and then add the government tag. Because if I can label someplace else and add the government tag, it would prove that they were wrong, that you can't just add the government tag. I don't know. You know, these are complicated issues, Victor. I disagree. I think I'm leaning towards disagreeing with them. Or, again, speculation. Somebody that does work for the government is interested in UFOs or Bob Lazar's story, did that and is having an incredible laugh right now, right? People are also accusing the person who made the video sent into third phase of moon as having done that. And there's probably, we're never going to know who put that text description in or who put that government pin on. We may never know who did that. These huge mega, you know, like the BLM is a huge organization, hard to get answers from. So it's going to be hard to get answers from them. Good luck calling Google and asking them questions, right? Moody Mongol says, wish your better half a happy birthday from Truthseekers. Yeah, so I hope you guys don't mind a very, very late show, but I wanted to spend my wife's birthday with her and the kids, and my son and I went and bought her some presents yesterday. So, you know, we did the cake and unwrapping the presents and the cupcakes, and the kids had a great time. And I think my wife had a good birthday. Happy that I could spend that time with her. I figured I can just push the show back. And I'm going to do some things like that. That's another part of my New Year's, I don't know about resolution, but just things I was thinking about in the new year is that I have to be willing to walk away from this thing. And that's problematic for me. My wife has correctly pointed out that sometimes I get hyper focused on the show and I let other things slide, and that's not fair to my kids and my wife and family. And, you know, yeah. Question, if third phase have all these followers and views, would you need to be clickbaiting videos? Tens of thousands of views. There's videos I recall saying, what a load of rubbish. Yeah. I don't know, Jay Roach. I see both sides of these issues because, like I said, what they're trying to do is a thankless job and a very difficult one, to just take random stuff people are emailing you and post it to your channel and hope it's not fake, because then you look like a dummy, right? Posting fake shit. And I don't know. We'll see how I feel going forward, right? But I do have respect for them. Yes, Frapsap says, thank you for pointing out the way Bob Lazar's sport model is virtually identical to Billy Meyer's beam ship with the side-by-side diagram tonight. Helps shake the mass delusion. I would hope so, right? Mike Gambelli, if you post UFOs, critique them with Mick West. I would love that. I'll send him the videos and say, hey, you got any explanation for this? Chris Johansson is saying, no, Steve, they know it's fake. They don't care. You know, I'm going to do something here that I probably shouldn't do because it'll upset me. But you can go to Social Blade, you know, and put in somebody's YouTube and see about how much money they make. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find them. Oh, yeah, right here. 795,000 subscribers. I cannot imagine having that many subscribers, right? And I have to say, in total clarity, you know, part of me is not that impressed that they have that many subscribers, because I think just posting stuff and you don't know if it's real or not is kind of cheating. You know, it's like I was saying about taking the bad and not the good, right? Yeah, well, geez, it's appear to be not that much money. I'm trying to determine. Yeah, according to Social Blade, in the last 3 days, these guys aren't making a mint of money. Well, they got 321,000 video views for the last 30 days, which is roughly 10 times what I get. I got, I think, 34,000 video views in the last. So they got 10 times the views that I do. But in the last 30 days, according to Social Blade, they made $80 to $1,300. Now that doesn't count super chats and things like that. I think that just counts YouTube ad revenue. And I'm not sure that Social Blade is entirely accurate. So I know that people have suggested they don't care. They just do this for the money. I don't know that I'd be willing to throw away all my integrity for $1,300 a month. And remember, they have expenses. They've got good production. They're paying people for music production, for video bumpers. They're paying people for video editing, or spending hours and hours doing the editing themselves. And remember, it's the cousin's brothers, right? So whatever money they're making, I guess they're splitting. That would be like $750 in a month. I don't know that too many people would sell their soul for $750 a month. But Jay Roach says, not a bad earn. Yeah, I mean, Sixth Sense is sharing the Social Blade link. Uh-oh. World Chaos says, Brother Blake acted like a child on the Alien Scientist show. I swear to God, that's why I unsubbed. It was obvious BS. Well, you know, controversy is another thing that sells. And if nothing else, those guys are controversial, and that drives traffic to them. That drives views. And I thought it was interesting that they're basically telling me to use clickbait titles, right? Maybe I should do that. And I don't know how I feel about that. If I have to do that to be successful, I don't know that I want to be successful, right? And I think I missed it. Did I miss a super chat? Frapsap with a kind and generous $10 super sticker. I don't know how I missed that. If I did, I apologize. B. Baker says, happy birthday to your wife, Stephen. Yeah, I'm a very lucky man. She's a very beautiful woman. She's an incredible mother to my children. You know, before we had children, I gave her the dog test. What's the dog test? An older man told me this that I worked with. He said, hey, I heard you're going to be getting married. And I said, yeah. And I think we're going to start a family. He goes, whoa, don't do that. And so you give her the dog test. And I'm like, the dog test? What's that? He goes, do you have a dog? And I go, no, she doesn't have a dog. We don't have a dog. And he said, give her a dog before you have kids with her. And I go, well, what's that supposed to? And he's like, you'll be able to tell what kind of mother she's going to be by how well she takes care of that dog. If she doesn't take good care of that dog, for God's sakes, don't have children. So I gave her a dog. She doted over the dog, took care of the dog. And by the way, we got a bad deal because we got this puppy that had worms and stuff, and it cost hundreds and hundreds. I gave her a puppy full of worms and stuff. It cost hundreds of dollars. This puppy had all kinds of medical issues. My wife took amazing care of the dog. And so she passed the dog test. Then you can have children with her, right? That's a funny thing. World Chaos 76 with a kind and generous $19.99. Very generous of you. Thank you, World Chaos 76, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Right? I appreciate that immensely. I think that's the first time I've seen a super chat from you. Very, very generous of you, and very generous of Frapsap with a $10 super sticker. Thank you guys for helping us to praise the cash, friends.
You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash.
Dr. Paz with a very good point. Not hard to be a UFO debunker. Just say, show me over and over. UFO believer knows it is here. If you're not open to it, you won't see the phenomenon. Debunkers are scared of reality. Well, actually, Dr. Paz, I agree with you to a certain extent, but I do believe that there is value to debunkers. I mean, look at Mick West. Do you just want to believe that fake shit is real? Sometimes the debunkers, oftentimes they get it right. I try to ride both sides of the fence as a believer, but a skeptical believer, right? Oh, World Chaos, I apologize. Says, no, just been a while since I've donated. Well, thank you for your continuing support, kindness, and generosity. It is much, much appreciated, right? Victor Caliero is here and says, SETI should beam out a message themselves instead of just listening. I vote they beam out Rick Astley, the ultimate Rickroll. That really would be. If you sent Rickroll into space, Victor Caliero, I'm all for that. Brandy Phillips says, Moody, be careful. You will get called a troll and an ankle biter. Uh-oh. What did Moody say? Let me see what Moody said. B. Baker says, guys, I know Third Phase of Moon, and I can guarantee you they do not make the majority of their money on YouTube. No, I would think not, based on the Social Blade information we just seen. Moody Mongol says, if I posted a YouTube video with a clickbait thumbnail stating news, aliens have contacted SETI and given this message, I know it would get 500,000 hits on YouTube in no time. That's a very good possibility, actually. And I want to thank Dr. Paz for a kind and generous $5. And he says, I am only saying it is real. I believe the phenomenon is real. The problem is, what is it? Right? What are they? What is it? And why are they here? But thank you, Dr. Paz, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Moody Mongol says, working in games development design means I know little about internet since day one in AAA companies. I know the scam companies use most of them the games industry used a decade ago. Yeah. Mike Gambali says, I hope Spooky gets Third Phase Mood pins and wins $10,000. Killboy 2100 says they are rock stars. Well, they have one of the biggest UFO channels, and I guess I have to give them a little bit of respect for that, even though I don't agree with the methods of how they got there. But let's say, for example, that they approach it just as a business, and yeah, it's monetary, and they're there to make money. Clickbait is going to do it. Moody Mungo says clickbait. We invented that. Yeah. Now I have some sad news that I have to share, and that is about. One second here. Let me find it. That is about my friend and maybe yours, Kevin Baker. Sorry to report, radio host and alternative media icon Kev Baker dies aged 45. Radio show host and alternative media icon Kevin Baker dies at 45 as tributes flood in for the popular Scottish presenter. the host of the Kev Baker Show on Truth Frequency Radio, a show which covers topics ranging from geopolitics to the paranormal, died after losing a long battle with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, on January 3rd. Described as one of the greats in the realm of alternative media, something that I would absolutely agree with, Baker had previously suffered a heart attack in 2017 as a result of the COPD. Fellow Truth Frequency Radio host Billy Ray Valentine described Baker as the best in the game in a fitting tribute. Valentine wrote, "My friend Kev Baker, we're going to miss you. Rest easy to the best in the game." I was only on Kev Baker's show once, but we had talked off air many, many times. Kevin also was very kind to me when I didn't know him when I started my previous show, the audio podcast, The Midnight Hour. But upon starting Truthseekers, he would watch, and every once in a while he would be in our live chat, and every once in a while he would send me a message about a show or a story that we had worked on or a show we had done. And he was also very kind to me in giving me a lot of good advice and constructive criticism. Now, many of you know that I have a problem sometimes with the chorus of critics, but in Kevin's case, it was truly constructive. He took me aside, like an older brother, and said, "Wow, here's some things I think you're doing great with, right? And here's some things you may want to improve." And I mean, there were good things, and he was right about all of them. And then I was a guest on his show once. And in fact, he had just contacted me about doing a show this month, but we hadn't nailed down the date. I was going to do another show with him sometime this month. I'm sad that that won't happen now. Kevin Baker and I agreed on many things. We disagreed on many things, but we talked like men. That's the third time I've said that tonight. You have to be able to talk like men to people. He and I could have spirited conversations and disagreements about different topics and subjects, but we stayed friendly about it. He gave me a lot of excellent advice. I listened to his show often on my cabin rides, back and forth to the cabin or whenever I got a chance to. Anybody that knows a show host, you know that you really don't have a lot of time to listen to other people's shows, but I always try to take the time to listen to his. We even got Unicock commenting on what a great man Kevin Baker was. And also, a GoFundMe page was set up by Truth Frequency Radio, a unique one-of-a-kind personality that will forever lead a voice in our hearts. TFR Live isn't just a radio station, it's a family, and we have vowed to take care of widows and orphans of any brother or sister who has left us too early. Thank you for giving back. So there is a GoFundMe. I'm trying to get the link to the GoFundMe. Because I would like to share the link to the GoFundMe in the description of this video. And all proceeds. Okay, yeah, here I have it here. So there's a GoFundMe that's been set up for Kevin Baker's family. And I would highly encourage you to throw a few bucks in and help out Mr. Baker's widow and his family. Let me get on over to the live chat, and I will put the link to the GoFundMe is now in the live chat. So if you would like to, you are free to throw a couple of bucks to the GoFundMe. It's a good cause. All proceeds will directly benefit Mr. Baker's wife and child. Eric Moyer is here with a kind and generous $19.99 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. That is much, much appreciated. Very, very generous of you. I thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. We are a viewer-supported show, and you guys all give me an attitude of gratitude. Everybody out there all over the world helping me to continue this journey that I'm happy to take and bring you guys all along with me. So what else can I say here? I think we had a long show because I wasn't expecting guests, right? Craig Williams says, speaking of that generous super chat, where did Emily Moyer go? Many questions, few answers. Yeah. Pragmatic says, we had fun tonight. Rest in peace, Kev Baker. Yeah, I'm very sad when I heard the news because he was only 45, Pragmatic, and he had a wife and a child that he leaves behind, and that is always incredibly sad to me. But his passing away, you know, he smoked too. Every time I have a friend that smoked that dies, I say, I gotta stop this shit, right? Pragmatic. Everybody should pray for me to quit smoking because it's going to take a miracle. You know, I'm just so addicted. I just can't stop. I try to get used to this vaping and it just doesn't work. I still want I could vape on that thing for an hour and I still want a real cigarette. And so then I vape for a while and then I cave and I smoke the cigarette. And then after a while, I get tired of even say that I quit smoking for vaping for, I don't know, 2.5 years, I think, before. But then I went back to cigarettes because I'm stupid. Yeah, if you know anybody that smokes, it's a terrible habit. It's really hard to get rid of a bad habit like that. Yeah, Dr. Paz says lots of people live to 90 and smoke. Well, unfortunately, I had a grandfather that only lived to 70 and smoked, and he died of lung cancer. Shake Television says vape makes it worse. I disagree. I vaped for 2.5 years. I was able to jog and do a lot more physical exercise without getting upset, you know, hacking up a lung. Shake Television says vape makes it worse. Use cigarettes, get it under control, reduce and stop. It gets easy after about a week. Yeah, I did straight quitting. I quit cold turkey once for a year too. B. Baker. Yeah, we'll deal with that guy. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry for the, annoyance, right? Well, Chaos says cigs to vape, vape to cigs, cigs to vape, vapes to cigs. It's ferocious. Yeah, I know a few people that are on that sort of roller coaster. They go back and forth. The Sixth Sense says vaping don't work for me neither. Some people it seems to help though. By the way, vaping is not better for you. It still contains nicotine. Yes, but it damages your lungs a lot less. I think I heard an estimate that it only does 5% of the damage to your lungs that smoking does. So to me, that's a harm reduction measure and probably worth doing. Dr. Paz says, you have quit bad habits before, I bet. Yeah, absolutely. It's the nicotine in vapes that increase because you can't gauge how much you were having. Yeah, I remember when I did quit for vaping, I had to like count the puffs, right? Like how many puffs are in an average cigarette? Maybe I shouldn't take 30 puffs of a vape if an average cigarette is 12 puffs or something like that, right? So I sort of timed out how many puffs an average cigarette was, and it was this whole thing. And then you have to change the nicotine percentages because, you know, the one time I tried vaping, I didn't know, but I was vaping very, very low nicotine vape, and I just couldn't get enough, and I just went right back to cigarettes. It was because the nicotine level wasn't high enough, right? Big Fat Creep says, smoke weed, it's better. I don't know. Probably. It does more for you, right? World Chaos says, nicotine is the absolute worst drug. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very difficult thing. So, friends, it's nearly 3 a.m. here, and I do got to go to bed because I have to get my children off the bus sometime tomorrow. Alien Scientist is here and wants to know why I have demon eyes. I don't know, because you were pissed off about this, and so was I. Do you know, Jeremy, the third phase of Moon, and Rich came on my show, and first I yelled and screamed at him. First I yelled and screamed at third phase, and it got pretty heated, but then it calmed down. So it was a good discussion, and I'm glad that it happened. I would have sent you a link, but I figured that you were sleeping. You know, some people have real jobs, and they got to work the next day. I did send a show invite link to Dan because Dan was in the live chat going, get me in here. And then we sent him the link, and he did not show up. And I don't know why that is. But yeah. Moody Mongol wants to know, would it be possible via internet research to prove third phase are not aliens in disguise? They could be. How do we know? We just assume they are willfully ignorant, clickbaity humans. It could be. Could be. Yeah. Alien Scientists, it's a great show. You got to rewind and see the talk we just had. I think it was great. It was a great show. I love shows like that where I love it if the show can get a little bit heated, people can get angry, but then at the end, we kind of like, all right, we're both good. And we talk like men, you know. Pragmagic says, I blame Alien Addict for my yellow pin obsession tonight. Yeah, it's all his fault. The prick. Jeanette Krasenko. Why am I no longer wrenched? Odd. Been here since day one. Let me see if I can't fix that. And did I miss a super chat? I don't think so. Jeanette Krasenko, maybe you're not aware. I'll give you your wrench back. But we had this huge problem. And you're right, Jeanette, you've been here since day one. You've always been helpful in the live chat. I apologize for that. But we had this huge problem with too many moderators, and people were banning each other and muting each other because they disagreed with each other. And to me, we had to just take all the wrenches so that we could get things under control. And I'm slowly giving the right people back their wrenches. I apologize for doing that, Jeanette. But as you can well imagine, if 100 people or 50 people in the live chat all have wrenches and they all start muting each other and banning each other, that's a problem. So we had to try to fix that. Death Proof Bum 01 says, well done today, Stephen. I think it was a great show. I wasn't expecting to have those two guys on. And I have respect for him because he at least showed up, right? Why are you banned? I don't know what's going on with you. And I apologize if that was done in error. Big Fat Creep says, was a good one. Alien Scientist, I called and talked to somebody today. They didn't seem very helpful or willing to help me. I called the BLM in Nevada today. Alien Scientist said, I sent an email to Bureau of Land Management and another to the Nevada National Security Site. I doubt they will get back to me, but it's worth a shot. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. We'll try to see if those things are water guzzlers. Do you think that third phase of moon will eat their words if they turn out to be guzzlers, or will they say, well, they're lying, it's a cover-up, they're saying it's water guzzlers when it's really an alien research base? That's what I predict. You know, you gotta pivot around it, right? Killboy 2100 says anger is good. Well, too much of any negative thing is bad, though. Too much. I like righteous indignation more than I like anger, right? Spooky said because of spam. Okay, yeah, we can't have people spamming in there. World Chaos 76 says, great job tonight, Stephen. Thank you. This guy says, people keep banning me. Well, apparently you're sending spam, right? Please keep blocking him. He will run out of accounts eventually. Kate Schneider says, worth a shot. Yeah, absolutely. Jeanette Krasenko, I totally understand. Glad that you do. And you got your wrench back. Use your powers wisely. And please don't just mute or ban somebody in the live chat because you disagree with something they said. We're trying to keep things open and honest here and let people have, disagreements or spirited debates, right? I love this. Moody Monkel says, alien scientists just woke up in a pile of quantum entangled beer bottles and quasi-crystal vodka bottles. The lush that he is over the New Year pyramid. The lush that he is over the New Year pyramid. Period. Yeah. Lost my wrench in a mechanic shake for no reason. Only had to time out Lauren Pritchard when she was making threats. Yeah. Well, I don't think we need 100 chat room moderators, right? That's the problem, B. Baker. There's no mods. There's only a couple of mods in the chat that are able to do that. Jeanette Krasenko says, Kev Baker did hang out at Unirocks years ago for many years. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Unirock. I agree with that. Shake Television says, if it's a secret base, they would disguise it, to be fair. Yeah. Dave TV says, Blake says they're not clickbaity. LMFO, they are total clickbait tools. Yeah, I think that they basically said they knowingly run clickbait titles. But I don't know that I blame them. Like, there's people out there that are putting boob and butt pictures in every thumbnail just to get clicks and views, and they do very well with that tactic. It seems to work, Maybe I ought to get a Truthseekers model, and we'll just put a chick with big tits in every thumbnail, or chick with, like, sticking her butt out and, like, her boobs and her butt out in every single thumbnail. We should do that as an experiment and see if the views pick up. That would be an interesting social experiment, and I guarantee you that the views will pick up. Killboy says, I think those buildings are there, but not radiated. Well, we'll see. Dr. Paz, I don't want to start selling, Dr. Paz, I don't want to start selling wrenches. That would set a bad precedent, right? Kate Schneider says, more than likely, they would never have been labeled by anyone, legit or not, if it were that top secret alien scientist. Yeah, that's something else I have a problem with. Oh, we have a top secret alien research facility, so somebody from the government is going to label it and put a government stamp pin on it so everybody knows that that was labeled by the government. And like I said, the mental gymnastics that some of these true believers have to do in order to still believe this is really remarkable, right? On the rise. Get a Borat swimsuit, Stephen. That would pick up views, right? Vibe with me says, I'm not a fan of Unirock either. I don't know many people that are fans of his, but it is what it is. Mike Gambale says, no swimsuit, bring back dancers. Yeah, we're trying, but those other videos that I had with the dancers keep getting flagged by YouTube as showing bare breasts, and they're clothed. They're not bare-breasted. So the algorithm is seeing titties where there ain't no titties, Mike Gambale. Email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com, Down Jones Muller. I got some PayPal money. We'll see if we can't get some Truth Seekers models, right? The Sixth Sense says, Uni has time and time again stolen people's research with no credit to the original researchers. He had been notorious for this in the past. Yeah. Dr. Paz says, don't do bad clickbait pics or titles. Don't lower yourself to that level. Big Creep says, I'm sure you don't believe John Lear, but you ever want to talk with him or without him, I think. Yeah, I would interview him. Absolutely. He's one of the godfathers of conspiracy land, bro. I would definitely interview him. Alien Scientist is here and says, Google relies on local guides to populate their maps with location data. Pretty sure they don't hire employees to do this. It's all user-contributed data. I agree with you. But if you rewind this, Jeremy, the Cousins brothers were going off about how it was a government pin, and it had to be a government person to add that government pin. And I don't know that that's accurate, so I didn't want to argue with them over that point. Their point is somebody found this. We put it out. A day after we put it out, it disappeared. The text description disappeared. And I'm like, that's because Jeremy told everybody to report it as not an accurate site. So maybe they got, 10 people reported as not accurate. They pulled the text description. At least that's my understanding of what may have happened. But welcome to conspiracy land. Something wasn't accurate. Google took it down. So now, according to the Cousins brothers, there's a cover-up. And that's where we're at, Jeremy. And I love that people like you and me have to do work to prove them wrong. They don't want to prove that they're right, but we have to prove them wrong. That is tiresome to me after a while. Like, why do I got to take my time? Maybe the guy making the money selling the story, which would be the Cousins brothers in this case, should have done all this work. Called the Cousins brothers, called Google, checked it out more. But that it's not whatever happens. What happens is they make the money and then they run, right? And then a lot of times they make the money. These guys that I'm not saying that they are selling fake stories, but guys who sell fake stories, they make the money, they run, and then the story falls apart and they never explain or give back any of the money for selling a fake story. We've seen it time and time again here, right? Alien Scientist says, if they blur out the satellite imagery on Google, then I might get suspicious. In that case, I would too. Killboy 2100 says, I bought a telescope, but all I see is blinking lights. Prophetic says, Goofon is a goof too. I like Rich. He's okay. You know, we disagree on some things. We agree on other things. We talk like men to each other. We're honest with each other. And yeah. Aaron Flores is here from our Facebook live video. Says, North Idaho tuned in and good to have you here. Good to see you, Aaron Flores. Thank you for being here and holding up the YouTube live, the Facebook live chat. And I wanted to mention that we may be changing or dropping Twitch. I'm going to go over and check right now. But I guarantee you, at maximum, there is one person watching on Twitch right now. I want to check just to make sure. There may be 0 people watching right now. Sometimes there is 0 people watching us on Twitch. People are there to see people play video games. All right, there's 3 people watching on Twitch. I'm wrong. Maybe Twitch is worth continuing to go. Yeah, Dr. Paz says, please do more 12 a.m. shows. Cool stuff. If I had known that we would get this many people in the live chat, now I'm sure a lot of that is the live chat jumped by like 50 once Rich and Third Phase of Moon were here. So it's probably due to their bump, but still I'm amazed at this time of night that there was that many people here to see our show, right? And thank you, Dr. Paz, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. Alien Scientist says, I don't want to bash Blake and Brent. Thank you for that. I knew it was Blake Cousins, but I could never remember the other guy's name. Blake and Brent. I won't forget again. Brent Cousins is the other cousin's brother. Blake Cousins is the other cousin's brother. I felt bad, Jeremy, because I think we had Blake on, but Brent was sort of in the background yelling at me. It got a little heated. And you're right. I don't want to bash them either. I agree with you. Jeremy says, I like it when the community works together to solve these mysteries. Hey, you're right. That is, we talked about it tonight, and I said, hey, you got everybody talking about this. Now we've got people in our live chat are going to try this pin thing. Alien Scientist, tonight, he said that if anybody is able to label that location, Blake Cousins, Third Phase of Moonbase with the government pin, he'll give them $10,000. But I think he put a 4-day time limit on it, which isn't fair because according to my friend who works for Google, it could take up to 2 weeks for that text description that somebody enters to be publicly visible to anybody in Google Maps. So I think that's a little bit unfair to say, well, 4-day time limit if it takes Google 2 weeks to put it up once somebody enters it. But I'm going to put it up, and I'm going to look into the possibility of adding the pin. According to people in the live chat today, Jeremy, you can add the pin. But Blake and Brent said no way that you can add the government pin if you're not high-ranking government official or something like that. Yeah, and we're all going to find out more about this place now. We're all going to find out more about this place because we're all talking about it, right? And other people besides these two, Brent and Blake, are going to start looking into it, right? Well, Vandersar32 is here and says, hi, Steve, love from Malaysia. I love Malaysia. That's awesome that you live there. I would like to go to Malaysia. I have a friend who lives there, and he works in a very strange situation. He finds people to make products for American companies, small American companies. He finds factories and manufacturers over in Malaysia to make people's products for them. And that's his job, and he lives in Malaysia full time. He loves it there. He said it is a tropical paradise full of beautiful women, amazing food, and great people. And there was actually plans that I was going to go and visit him there, but with my family and all, like I can't just drop things and fly to Malaysia for a week and leave my wife with the kids. Space Cow with a kind and generous $6.99 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. thank you for helping us to praise the cash, friends.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, friends. Well, I appreciate everybody's kindness and generosity. We had a great night for money tonight. It must be that everybody's past the Christmas hump now, right? Because, boy, that month of December was rough, right? And I get it. Brother, can you spare $1? It is rough out there. But I guess everybody's over the Christmas hump because, boy, ever since Christmas is over, people have been much, much more generous, and I am thankful for that. You guys give me an attitude of gratitude. One more way that you can help us out that costs nothing, and that is to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really does help. It helps the algorithm to suggest us to more people. It helps our show grow. It helps more people find us. And I want to remind you that if you're listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun because you are getting a replay. So I want to remind you, if you're listening to an audio podcast, go on over to YouTube. Put Truthseekers, one word, in the search bar. Search for me, the strange guy with sunglasses, and your host, Stephen Cambion. We're the first ones that pop up. Just put Truthseekers, one word, in the YouTube search bar. Smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing these live tapings for the podcast here on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. You can come on over to the live chat and participate. We love the audience interaction. You hear me taking comments and questions from the live chat all throughout the show. And we welcome you to come here and be a part of the live tapings. Be a part of the interaction. Don't just listen to the stories that we present here. Come and be a part of them. Come and take part in the discussion. You are most welcome here. Please do that. Otherwise, it would be very helpful if you could follow me at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. You can also, of course, follow me on Facebook, though you probably want to look for the Truthseekers Facebook page because my friend list is always at 5,000. I know a lot of people in the entertainment business, music business, magic business, in the UFO or paranormal world, so my friend count is always topping out, and I'm always trying to delete people that never interact with me and talk to me so I can fit more people in. You can try and friend me on Facebook. It's Stephen Cambion, just like it's spelled here on Facebook, but it's probably best if you just follow me on Facebook and not try to friend me. I do look at message requests, so if you're not a friend and you send me a message, I'll try to respond. Alien Scientist said, I'm a local guide for Google in Rhode Island. I might be able to add one here in my own state, but not in other states. Yeah, that's the issue. We got to find, ideally, Jeremy, we got to find somebody that works for the government or Google and lives in Nevada. And they'd be able to probably do that. But I don't know if that would be quite fair if we kind of get a ringer to do it, right? Moody Mongol is going to start looking in the third phase of moon. You know, I will repeat what I said. Those guys at least had the balls to come here and talk to me. And how many people whose balls I bust don't have the balls to come here and have a conversation? And I bust their balls more because they're, you know, to me, it's pretty cowardly. Those guys jumped right on here like, hey, you, Steve Cambion, don't be talking shit. We're going to tell our side of the story. And I got to respect that a little bit. Jeremy says, good show, Steve. When I wake up at 3 a.m., I couldn't believe you were still alive. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here still alive either. We're over 3 hours, but I go by your rule, Jeremy. People kept sending super chats, so I didn't want to I'm like, oh, I guess I'm keeping going for a little while. And we have a lively, good chat going, an interesting conversation between me and the live chat. So I figured, why not? We'll keep going. I'm not doing anything tonight except, I'm going to try to get some sleep. I got to get my kids tomorrow off the bus, right? Whoa, Alien Scientist said, I found a map online, but it's from 2002 and doesn't have that site listed, so it must have been built after 2002. Well, there you go. Can you send me that map? Please email me that or send it to me on Facebook, Jeremy, because that's some proof. Like if people are, this is S4. Well, where is it at in 2002? I was going to do that too. You know, there's those Russian satellite maps that were made around the Cold War era, right? In the late 80s, early 90s. I'm going to try to get every map, really high resolution photo of that area that I can, and see if we can, I don't know, Sherlock when that shit was built. If it's after 2002, then it blows the fact that it was Bob Lazar's S4 away. It couldn't be Bob Lazar's S4. Please send me that map. You can email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. You can DM it to me on Twitter or PM me on Facebook. I'd love to look at that. I would love to look at that. B. Baker says, there is a map guide you can get from the Department of Wildlife that lists water guzzlers, but it's $50. Calling them might work, but it will take time. B. Baker, I'll pay the $50. Email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. Where can I get that map guide that you can get from the Nevada Department of Wildlife that lists water guzzlers? Even if it's $50, I'll spend the $50. Then we'll know where all the water guzzlers are, and maybe we could crack the case that way. If it only costs $50 to crack the case, then hey, I'm more than willing to spend the $50. If that's all it takes to solve this mystery, that would be a small price to pay, right? Oh, this is interesting. Why is no one talking about Kyle, who found the S4 is from Nevada? Well, the plot thickens. That would seem to indicate that maybe some people, and again, I don't want to accuse the guy, but people are accusing him of putting it in just to sell the story. And, you know, if he did something like that, it wouldn't surprise me if we found out that he did, because people fabricate things to sell stories all the time or to get big scoops. And again, I'm not saying he did that. I'm saying other people are suggesting that he put that in, and then he claimed he found it after he put the text description in. Who knows, right? It's a possibility, though. Death Proof Bum 01 with kind and generous £2 super chat says, it's been emotional. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to bring this point up to them, and they argued with me that this isn't about Bob Lazar. Okay, you're saying this is the alien base that Bob Lazar worked on the alien spacecraft at? I think it is about Bob Lazar. I try to make that point. There's no way that Bob Lazar, there's no way that and also, Jeremy, I think that they're incorrect, because they're saying that that road that leads to that location is 100-foot wide. And I try to drill down on how are you getting 100 feet from that? Well, we measured it. Well, I don't understand how to measure distance on Google Maps and get an accurate. I want to talk to somebody that knows a lot more about Google Maps to see, is that 100-foot wide road? We're going to try and find out, right? And thank you, Death Proof Bum 1, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Shake Television says, Kyle is fine. I don't think he is like that. Yeah, and I don't know him, so I don't want to disparage him unnecessarily, but people are saying it. There is rumors and speculation that he's the one that put it in. He lives in Nevada so that he could run around selling the story. I don't know that that's accurate, but anything's possible at this point. This is a mystery. I have to say it's incredibly doable faking it, but making others see it on Google Earth is the hard part, unless they all had the same login. Yeah. Yeah. Yet somehow that engineer calls if it didn't happen. Is that off limits? Hard to tell what's in play and what's not. Yeah, it's often hard to tell what's in play and what's not. World Chaos 76 says, I respect someone that can admit when they're wrong. I'll be the first to say I'm wrong. And by the way, I try to explain, Jeremy, alien scientist, where the water guzzler thing came from, the Charles Hall base that somebody claimed, oh, that's Charles Hall, alien research base. And then we found out that that was 100% for sure guzzlers, water guzzlers out in the middle of the desert. Shake Television says Google Earth has the ability to look back in time at older images, view historical imagery. I'm going to look into that. Historical imagery. Thank you for the tip, because we'd like to know when that base was constructed. If it is a base, when that facility. Let's call it a facility for now because we don't know what it is. Could be a water guzzler facility, could be storage sheds, it could be garages, right? I don't think that Mr. Cousins is accurate in his measuring. So we're going to have to look into that as well. This is going to be a whole can of worms. And like I said, at the end of this, I might not be able to prove they're wrong, but they might not be able to prove that I'm wrong. And we're both going to be back where we started, chasing shadows here in the land of UFOs. Because that's what we do here. We chase shadows. We never get to actual evidence. We never get to actual proof. It's always maybe, it could be, there's a possibility, this is, but we never get to the proof. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of, Pragmatic says, see, I can counter conspiracy with conspiracy. Exactly, right? Oldest imagery is 1985, then it skips to 2002. Thanks, Shake Television. Yeah. Alien Scientist says smoke and mirrors. Well, I know a thing or two about that, Alien Scientist. And I'm not a fan of Linda Moulton Howe, but I do like her saying that the world of UFOs is basically a hall of mirrors with a quicksand floor. There's all these layers of deception and criminals and pedophiles, murderers claiming that they talk to aliens. You know, it is a strange, strange world that we find ourselves in. But this is where we're at. So we're over 3 hours. I'm going to throw you all out of here. Well, I'm going to throw myself out of here first. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and I do want to thank the Cousins brothers from Third Phase of Moon for coming here, and Rich from GoofOn, and having a discussion and a conversation. I think it was a good one, and I think that a lot can be learned from tonight. That maybe sometimes it's best to set aside your differences with somebody so that you can get together and work together to solve the mystery instead of argue over it, right? I'd much rather solve the mystery with Third Phase of Moon and Rich from GoofOn and Jeremy from Alien Scientist. I'd much rather we all work together and solve this mystery than us just trash each other and, argue over the mystery and who's right. Let's get together. Let's try and solve the mystery of this thing together. I think that regardless of whatever else I think about those guys, they're very talented. You can see it in their production. You can see it, and they're very passionate about the subject. Same for Rich, right? He's very talented. Same for Alien Scientist. I did make a joke, Alien Scientist. I'm like, I can't believe that the Cousins brothers want to argue with Jeremy because he's like a genius. That's not going to, you don't argue with a genius, bro. That's not a good idea. But, they said that you kind of like backpedaled a little bit on your earlier assessment. So you and I can talk off air about that. I'm going to dig deeper into this story, friends. We'll call this one part 1. Now, remember, there is a $10,000 challenge from Third Phase of Moon, the Cousins brothers. Anybody who can label that site, and I put the coordinates in the live chat earlier, if you can label that site Third Phase of Moon base and put the government pin on it, they'll give you $10,000. I think that's an interesting challenge, and we'll see how it goes, right? And I just want to say in clarity, for all I know, they're right. And you can't put that in unless you're a real government employee or whatever. I mean, we just don't know. So a lot of things are speculation, right? What else can I say, friends? We might have learned something tonight, and that is maybe it's better that people on opposite sides of the argument about a UFO mystery get together and try to work together to solve it instead of just argue with each other and trash each other. I'm going to try to be kinder and gentler and a little more diplomatic because, I guess it would be fair to say that I've made enough enemies in this arena. And in order to get anywhere in this arena, you need allies, right? You're going to need help sometimes. And I have been very blessed in my life to have smart people like Jeremy or Dan Bankert that I can talk to when I'm stuck on something that I'm trying to look into or research. I've been very blessed to have some people that help to mentor me and teach me how to do some of the investigative work. I've been very blessed. And it would be kind of stupid of me to just run around here like a bull in a china shop, smashing everybody and not being a little fairer, right? Like I said, what they do is a tough job. I don't want that job. You just posting random UFO videos, hoping they're not fake, right? And then, oh shit, that one was fake. Oh shit, that one was fake. But I do stand by that. I believe in the past 5 years, they probably have pumped at least 100 provably fake UFO videos. Now, did they say these are alien spacecraft? No, but they put it out there. So it's kind of like, I just don't think that there's much value to shoveling shit into a world that's already filled with so much bullshit. It's like, really? That's how you're helping? You're shoveling more bullshit in and then you wash your hands of it? But again, I'm going to try to be fair. And I told you we're going to do this experiment. We're going to do third phase of Cambion or fourth phase of Cambion. How about that? And I'm going to post some UFO videos with me doing a voiceover or something, offering some critique. I'll invite Rich and alien scientists, a few other people, and we'll see how that goes. For all I know, that's going to be my new thing because that'll get more views than me talking for 3 hours about this stuff. So what else can I say? I want to thank our guests tonight, our surprise guests. And again, I have tremendous amount of I have much more respect for them now, and I'm more willing to give them to be more diplomatic and give them a little more leeway because they had the balls to come here and talk. And we had a great conversation. I think we understand each other a little bit more now. And yeah, and I'm sure I'll get crap for this either way. So, critic's going to critic and whatever. What can I say, friends? I'm always happy when there's an audience. Tonight we had a great one, and I am so thankful for that. There is nothing worse than working very hard on something and showing up, and there's nobody there to see you put on the show. I have been very blessed by you. Very blessed that every time I come here, you and all those like you come here to see what it is that we're talking about, to take part in the conversation, to take part in this journey. Hey, it's 2022. It's a whole new journey. And the journey's about to get a lot more interesting because we're going to be trying some new things here and bringing in some new guests, new perspectives, new stories. I can't wait to bring it to you. So thank you for being here, all of you. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, all of you Patreon supporters, PayPal donators, and kind and generous super chatters. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.